Buzz, buzz, buzz. Long Chen's imperial flames were burning all over his body, and the flame of destiny completely enveloped Long Chen. After killing another person with 997 imperial flames, Long Chen's imperial flames had increased to 977. The further I go, the more energy I consume to condense the imperial flames. A strong man with 997 imperial flames can only give me 10 imperial flames. If I kill Long Su, how many imperial flames can I add? 5? 3? Or less? Long Chen was secretly shocked. This also shows that Long Chen's imperial flame power is fundamentally different from the imperial flames of other Dragon Clan strongmen. With my current imperial flame power, I'm afraid it's enough to crush Long One before. Long Chen felt the endless imperial flame power and couldn't help but feel secretly happy. Before I opened the 7 gates, because the power of the 7 gates was too strong, I felt like I was on the edge of an abyss and treading on thin ice. I didn't dare to fight as I wanted. I only dared to use the evil moon to stimulate the power of the 7 gates, and the evil moon was still in the state of a clone at that time, and the power was dispersed, which greatly reduced the power of the stars. Otherwise, that knife would be enough to kill Long One 8 times. In the previous battle with Long One, Long Chen was full of confidence, but he didn't expect that the power of the 7 gates would far exceed his expectations. When the 7th gate was opened, it was nothing at the beginning, and everything was under control. However, as the power of the stars continued to surge out, the momentum of the explosion became stronger and stronger. In the end, Long Chen couldn't stand it anymore and had to use the Dragon Bone Evil Moon. Now, the Emperor Flame has soared so much, Long Chen is suddenly full of confidence. The Emperor Flame is burning all over his body, and he began to use the power of the Emperor Flame to refine his body, blood, and soul, making his physical body stronger. Only a stronger physical body can control more star power. He really wants to know whether when the 8 gates are opened, it will be the ultimate of the 8-star combat body. According to past experience, as long as he reaches the extreme of the star battle body, he will automatically awaken the next star. However, he has been trapped in the 8-star battle body for too long. He has not found a way out, but he believes that when the 8 gates are opened to the extreme, he should be able to enter the next stage. The 9-star battle body is his ultimate goal. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The Emperor Flames disappeared from the outside to the inside, and were absorbed into Long Chen's body, integrating into Long Chen's flesh, blood, bones, and soul. This method is exactly the opposite of the way the Dragon Clan condenses the Emperor Flame. Di Mengyao and others first give birth to the source of the Emperor Flame from their bodies, attract the power of heaven and earth, form a fire seed, and then appear outside the body to receive the blessing of heaven and earth. If the blessing of heaven and earth is not obtained, the source of the Emperor Flame will quickly wither and disappear, and a new source of the Emperor Flame will need to be condensed again. And Long Chen's Emperor Flame is not his own at all. After these Emperor Flames are absorbed by the Supreme Bone, they are transformed into Long Chen's Emperor Flame, but these Emperor Flames are all external things. Long Chen must integrate them into his body to truly control them. After pouring into the body, Long Chen's physical strength will be greatly improved. It can be said that without these Emperor Flames, Long Chen's star battle body will be difficult to improve. With the assistance of Purple Blood and Supreme Blood, everything becomes very simple. The violent aura on Long Chen's body gradually weakened, which was a sign that the Emperor Flame was gradually under control. 3 days later, the Emperor Flames around Long Chen completely disappeared. After all the Emperor Flames were refined for the second time, they had completely merged with Long Chen and achieved absolute control. Master! When Long Chen woke up, Long Su was already standing aside respectfully, bowing to Long Chen. You don't have to lower your head so much. Even if I can't see your face, I can sense your ambition from the fluctuations of your soul. 998 Imperial Flames. Well, you have caught up with Long One. Perhaps you have the qualifications to compete with Long One, but in front of me you are far from enough. Long Chen looked at Long Su, who was respectful on the outside but struggling on the inside, and said lightly, Long Su dare not. Long Su's body shook slightly, and a look of horror appeared on his face. He had just become a strong man with 998 imperial flames. With his strength skyrocketing, his confidence was also expanding. He secretly tried to use the unique magical powers of the evil dragon clan to block Long Chen's slave seal. Seeing that the slave seal did not react, he was immediately ecstatic. He thought that Long Chen's slave seal was not a powerful slave seal. If he could kill with one blow and make Long Chen too late to detonate the slave seal, then he would be completely free. Who would have thought that his so-called shielding was ineffective? Long Chen knew everything he was thinking in his mind. Only then did he realize how powerful Long Chen's slave seal was. Fortunately, he did not try to remove it directly without his confidence swelling, otherwise, he might have been a corpse. Thinking of this, he broke out in a cold sweat on his back. Anyway, you evil dragons don't have any distinction between good and evil, right and wrong, and no blood relationship, so it doesn't matter who you are with, right? Moreover, following me is definitely much better than following Long One. I will only say this once. Next time, if you dare to play tricks with me, I will kill you directly. Long Chen said slowly. Master, calm down. I will never dare to do it again. Long Su's forehead was already sweating. Long Chen's face was always calm, never as cold and ferocious as Long One, but under this calm expression, there was a knife that killed people without blood. Long Su had seen many ruthless people in his life, but he had never seen such a ruthless person as Long Chen. In Long Su's view, the invisible ruthlessness is the real ruthlessness. Long Chen's harmless face is all deceptive. You have accumulated a lot of luck power in your body. Can you advance to the 999th level in one go? Long Chen asked. Long Su hurriedly said, I just advanced, and the power of the Emperor Flame has not yet been fully settled. There is almost no chance of success in directly attacking the 999th Emperor Flame. But let me settle down for a while, and when I have full control over my current power, I can take it as a foundation and make another step. Perhaps there is a 20% chance. At this moment, Long Su was completely scared, and he spoke honestly, not daring to play any tricks. Now he has a bright future. Even if he becomes a slave, such a useful slave, Long Chen will definitely keep him. But if he angers Long Chen and is killed directly by Long Chen, it would be too unfair. 20%. So low? Long Chen couldn't help but frown. Master, this is actually not low. The last 3 steps of the extreme realm are one step at a time. Especially this last step, it is extremely dangerous. If you are not careful, you will die. In addition to strength and talent, you also have to rely on luck. No one can do anything about it. Long Su said hurriedly. In fact, he had already overestimated 20%, and he felt a little uneasy in his heart. But from Long Chen's tone, he seemed dissatisfied. Ha! Suddenly, Long Chen flicked his hand, and a golden pill appeared in the palm of Long Chen's hand. Master, you! When he saw the golden pill, Long Su's pupils shrank suddenly, and his voice trembled. The elixir contained a vast amount of luck power. The luck power contained in this small elixir was even more than what he had absorbed these days. Senior, do you really want to give him such a precious thing? Long Chen asked. The voice of Chen Ding sounded in Long Chen's mind. When you were fighting, I was also absorbing the power of luck. The power of the Emperor Flame was absorbed by you. I was naturally embarrassed to snatch the luck power of the Dragon Clan from the children. I absorbed some of the luck power of the evil Dragon Clan, but there were too many evil things in the luck power of the evil Dragon Clan. Absorbed the essence, and this is the rest. Even if I don't give it to him, I can only throw it away. When Long Chen heard this, he felt that Chen Ding was quietly making a profit. Long Chen looked at Long Su, who was very excited at this time. Obviously, he understood the power contained in this elixir better than anyone else. With this elixir, are you sure you can successfully attack the 999 Emperor Flames? Long Chen said, throwing the elixir in his hand to Long Su. Long Su took the pill and carefully sensed the strong power of destiny in the pill. He was so excited that his whole body trembled. Master, "Are you really going to give me this pill?" Long Su said in disbelief. "Answer me," Long Chen said coldly. Long Su suddenly realized something and gritted his teeth and said, "With the help of this pill, I have at least 60% chance of advancing directly." 60%. Long Chen still frowned. Obviously, this was not a satisfactory result for him, but there was nothing he could do. He looked at Long Su and said, "Take this pill with you, find a place to retreat quickly, and advance to the 999th Emperor Flame as soon as possible." Long Su was ecstatic when he heard this. Long Chen really gave him this pill. This is a supreme treasure for him. However, after the ecstasy, he sobered up a little and asked cautiously, "What if I fail?" "If you fail, just find a place and hit your head against it and die. Otherwise, the next time you meet me, it will be your death. Even with this kind of heaven-defying elixir, you can't advance, which means you are too useless. Such a waste is not qualified to be my slave." Long Chen said coldly, "I will definitely succeed and will never let my master down." Long Su gritted his teeth and said. Long Chen's meaning was very clear. If he failed, he would not be qualified to live. After the advancement is successful, you need to find the other two masters before Long Nu, take them under your command, and take control of the power of the young generation of the evil dragon clan. Long Chen ordered. "Yes, when you meet Long Nu, I will definitely cut off his head and present it to you." Hearing Long Chen's words, Long Su seemed to see that he had surpassed Long Nu and became the first of the young generation of the evil dragon clan, and his tone of speech changed. "Long Nu's life is mine. If it is not absolutely necessary, try not to confront him head-on." Long Chen said, "This Long Nu is very complicated. He has many trump cards. The terrifying summoned beast is just one of them. Long Su must not die in his hands, otherwise his work will be in vain. You must advance to the 999th Emperor Flame before Long Nu, so that others will obey you. As long as you treat your subordinates a little better at this time and draw a bigger pie, they will see that it is much better to follow you than to follow Long Nu, and they will naturally obey you. By then, even if Long Nu advances to the 999th Emperor Flame and returns strongly, it will be too late. How can he fight you alone?" Long Chen said, "Master, what you said is very good. I remember it all in my mind." Long Su said excitedly. The Dragon Clan was not good at using their brains, and the evil Dragon Clan had almost no brains. They immediately thought that Long Chen's strategy was very clever. But they didn't know that this was just the most basic means for the human race. Long Chen continued. After unifying the evil Dragon Clan, they pushed the entire annihilation incident onto Long Wen's head, saying that when the danger came, he let his men die and escaped alone. They created an image of him as a person with no leadership ability, who only knew how to be selfish and cowardly. And you led everyone to fight hard, and the rest of them died bravely. In the end, the whole army was annihilated, and only you fought your way out and escaped. In contrast, you are the hero of the evil Dragon Clan, and Long One has become a bear. I don't need to teach you the rest." Long Su opened his mouth wide when he heard this. Although the evil Dragon Clan is evil from bones to blood, but the evil Dragon Clan also worships the strong and fears heroes. He didn't expect that Long Chen had designed all these for him. "Master, you are so strong," Long Su said in amazement. At this time, he was completely convinced. "Okay, you can go now. You just need to remember one thing. I can spare your life, but I can also take your life at any time. No matter how strong you become in the future, it is best not to think about betrayal, otherwise, I will not give you a second chance." Long Chen looked at Long Su and said, "Yes, Master's words. Long Su will remember them in his heart." Long Su said hurriedly, "Again follow me. You will not suffer any loss." "Okay, let's go." After giving him a slap, Long Chen gave him another sweet date. After warning him, he gave him more hope, waved his hand, and let him leave. Long Su retreated 3 steps respectfully, saluted Long Chen again, and then turned and left. His figure disappeared into the sky. It's really boring. It's better to slap him to death, or add a few more Emperor Flames. Longu Sheue finally couldn't help but speak. Obviously, it saw all this. Compared with a few emperor flames, a loyal servant is more cost-effective. Long Chen shook his head. How do you know he will be loyal? When this guy left, his eyes rolled around, and I knew he had no good intentions. Longu Sheue said unhappily. This man is not a good person, but he is cruel and greedy. Just based on these 2 points, I am confident that he will be loyal to me. He still has a rebellious heart now, because he has not tasted the sweetness I give him. When he tastes the sweetness, has strength and power, even without the slave mark, he will be loyal to me. Long Chen laughed. You are bragging. Longu Sheue obviously didn't believe it. Everything I lose is not mine. Everything I love is a shackle that binds me. Long Chen laughed and didn't explain too much. Longu Sheue asked Long Chen what he meant, but Long Chen always smiled without answering, which made Longu Sheue very unhappy. So he asked about Chen Qianding instead. Chen Qianding said, things that can be lost are not yours in the first place, so there is no need to worry about gains and losses. You pursue fame and fortune, and you only have fame and fortune in your eyes. You pursue power, and you only have power in your eyes, and you will be firmly trapped by them. What Long Su wants is in Long Chen's hands. When Long Su understands this truth, this shackle will be even more useful than the slave seal. It must be said that Chen Qianding has a really good temper. Longu Sheue bumped into it several times and even insulted it, but it did not bear grudges and helped Longu Sheue explain. After listening to the explanation, Longu Sheue was about to speak, when suddenly a sacred breath spread from a distance. Lord Long Chen. Di Mengyao was the first to wake up from her retreat. At this time, she was already surrounded by 998 imperial flames, with an imperial aura, as if the Empress had descended to the world. After she woke up, she immediately came to Long Chen and saluted him respectfully. Mengyao can be where she is today, all thanks to Lord Long Chen. Di Mengyao was very excited at this time. It can be said that she was able to take this step, which was entirely created by Long Chen. In her heart, Long Chen was a godlike existence, and her worship and awe of Long Chen could no longer be described in words. We are one of us, so let's not say these polite words. Your aura is very grand, stronger than Long Wan. However, perhaps because the aura is too grand, it is very difficult to control and it is difficult to form real lethality. But it doesn't matter. You have the Tianlong battle halberd and the golden shield in your hands. You only need to use the power of the domain to suppress the opponent, and at the same time, use the power of the magic weapon to bless the dragon warriors with the power of blessing. While weakening and restricting the opponent, you can improve the defense and combat effectiveness of the dragon warriors. Even without taking action, it is enough to crush the enemy. Since you don't have a fighting talent, don't force it. Just play your strengths. As for your weaknesses, leave it to your partners to make up for it. Don't worry about your back to them. Hearing Long Chen say this, Di Mengyao nodded like a chicken pecking at rice, her face full of joy. Before, she had always been annoyed that her combat power was not strong enough, and she tried her best to make up for this shortcoming, but there was really no way to do anything about talent. If you have it, you have it, and if you don't, you don't. However, Long Chen's words pointed out her future route, which immediately made her feel relieved and saw infinite light. The Dragon Clan is full of talents, with Xue Tu as the attacker, Qing Yi as the defender, Hai Mingkong as the think tank, and other strong people. In a certain field, they all have their own strong places. But should she pursue herself to be strong in all aspects? Looking at Long Chen in front of her, she seemed to have a glimmer of enlightenment. As powerful as Long Chen is, he will also give his back to his dragon blood core. In other words, he also has his own shortcomings, so why should she embarrass herself? Thinking of this, Di Mengyao smiled, very happy and relaxed, because at this moment, she got rid of the shackles of the halo of the first genius of the Dragon Clan, and was completely free. This halo was too heavy, and it made her a little breathless, but Long Chen's words suddenly made her enlightened. Why must people be red flowers? Must others be green leaves to set off themselves? Once people put down their selfishness, the whole world will instantly become broad. Seeing that Di Mengyao had completely understood, Longchen smiled slightly, but he secretly sighed in his heart. This girl is really stupid. Long Chun had reminded her several times before, but she didn't hear it, and insisted that he say it so obviously. It seems that her cultivation talent has also drained a lot of her brain. Lord Long Chun, I have advanced to the 998th Emperor Flame, and it will take some time to settle. I believe that Xuetu and Qingyi will soon reach their limits under the blessings of their ancestors, and they will have to stop to stabilize their realm. What should we do next? Please tell me, Lord Long Chun. Di Mengyao said. Their realm is improving too fast, their foundation is unstable, and their Emperor Flame is superficial. If they are greedy for more, they will only hurt themselves. After reaching the limit, they must stop to stabilize their realm and lay a solid foundation. The most direct, effective, and quickest way to stabilize their realm is to fight. Through fighting with the strong, under the tempering of blood and fire, the instinct of life will be activated, allowing the realm to stabilize quickly. Now is the time to go to war against the evil demons from outside the domain. Only by fighting and supporting war can the dragon race become stronger. Before, the evil demons from outside the domain slaughtered the 9 heavens strongmen wantonly. Now it is time to return the favor. Although there are only more than 10,000 dragon race strongmen here now, the weakest one has already crossed the threshold of 990 Emperor Flames. Some dragon race strongmen, in order to protect their companions, were forced to give up the condensation of Emperor Flames and directly advance to the Divine Emperor in the process of being hunted down. However, they are not at a loss. Although the blessings of the ancestors cannot help them condense Emperor Flames, they can help them quickly improve their realm. Those strong men in the Divine Emperor realm have already entered the late stage of the Divine Queen, and some have even entered the peak of the Divine Emperor. If the Emperor Flames are not enough, the realm will make up for it. Their strength is not much worse than others. It can be said that the strength of the dragon race at this time has reached an unprecedented grand occasion. We are now fully grown. It's time to launch a counterattack against the evil demons from outside the domain. Moreover, the balance above the 9 heavens has shown signs of recovery. We must kill more powerful outsiders before it recovers. However, it will take some time for the balance to recover. What you need to do now is to quickly gather all the warriors of our dragon clan scattered on the battlefield of the heavenly domain. The battlefield of the heavenly domain is extremely dangerous. Those who can survive until now are definitely the strongest among the strong and the backbone of the dragon clan in the future. After finding them, secretly distribute these fruits to them. Remember, it is secretly. Don't tell them where the fruits come from, let alone what they are used for. Long Chun gradually became serious as he spoke, and handed a space ring to Di Mengyao. Di Mengyao took the ring, and saw that it was full of strange fruits with dragon-shaped patterns on them. Don't worry, Lord Long Chun. Mengyao will keep it a secret. Di Mengyao knew that these fruits must be extraordinary, and said solemnly. These fruits were obtained by Long Chun after he killed the strong men of the evil dragon clan and the dark dragon clan. However, this heavenly Dao fruit was different from other heavenly Dao fruits. It had no divinity because the power of the Emperor Flame was absorbed by Long Chun, and the divinity was empty. Logically speaking, under this circumstance, the heavenly Dao tree should not produce heavenly Dao fruits, but it did. Long Chun once secretly gave a heavenly Dao fruit to a dragon disciple to eat. As a result, the disciple's realm did not change, but his aura changed fundamentally. After Long Chen's research, Long Chen guessed that because there was no divine power, the heavenly Dao fruit lost the ability to directly improve the realm. However, the realm of the owner of the heavenly Dao fruit was engraved. The owner of that heavenly Dao fruit was a strong man with more than 950 Emperor Flames. After eating his heavenly Dao fruit, it would be very smooth to reach the same realm as this person, and cultivation would be twice as effective with half the effort, and the whole way would be smooth. Although this kind of heavenly Dao fruit is no longer against the sky, it is also a divine tool to assist cultivation. Long Chen didn't want more people to know about this existence, on the one hand because of trust, and on the other hand because he was afraid that they would be contaminated by karma. As long as they didn't know, the karma would only be borne by Long Chen. Boom boom. As Long Chen was explaining, there was a sudden roar in the distance, followed by a heat wave and a terrifying high temperature. Then people saw a huge fireball, like a flaming meteor, rushing towards everyone. Boom! The huge fireball rushed through the void, making a piercing sonic boom that resounded through the heavens and the earth. You have to know that this is Tianji Ridge. As soon as it appeared, it immediately attracted countless evil spirits to attack. However, when those evil spirits touched the huge fireball, they instantly turned into ashes and could not be stopped at all. However, the evil spirits had no fear. They rushed towards the huge fireball like moths to a flame, and were all destroyed. The huge fireball flew all the way and flew straight to the location where Long Chen and others were. However, when it approached the battlefield, the speed of the huge fireball slowed down significantly, and at the same time, a series of powerful divine thoughts came out of the fireball. There is also a strong man with 998 emperor flames here. There was a cry of surprise from the huge fireball, obviously shocked by the terrifying breath of Di Mengyao. It's the Dragon Clan. Isn't that person Long Chun? The supreme treasure Chen Ding is on him. The huge fireball slowed down, and there were bursts of whispers from it. From the tone, it seemed that there was a posture of killing people and seizing treasures. The main thing is important. Don't let it get out of hand. At this moment, a cold female voice came, stopping the noise of the crowd. However, when they got closer, Di Mengyao and others saw that in the huge fireball, there was a golden battle flag floating. The golden battle flag exuded supreme divine power, and it was obviously a divine weapon of the God Emperor. No wonder these people dared to be so arrogant and dared to cross the Tianji Ridge. It seemed that they had divine weapons in their hands. If it was before, Di Mengyao might still be a little nervous when she met a strong man holding a divine weapon. But now, this kind of divine weapon can no longer bring her any pressure. As long as it is not a strong divine emperor, she has 2 divine weapons, which is enough to crush it. Lord Wu Yu, this Long Chun has a grudge against us. Why don't we? A man on the battle flag spoke, and his tone seemed a little unwilling. Shut up and go on your way. The woman responded coldly. Buzz. The man dared not say a word. The light of the golden battle flag became grand again, and endless flames rose. The speed was instantly increased to the extreme, and it whistled away. At the moment when the golden battle flag accelerated, the battle flag fluttered and slightly poured down. Di Mengyao and others saw that there were tens of thousands of powerful people standing on the battle flag, and each of them had an amazing aura, and the golden imperial flames around them were shining, like small suns, with a terrifying pressure. What shocked Di Mengyao was that among these powerful people, a beautiful woman with a silver moon hairpin and a cold face was surrounded by these powerful people like a moon surrounded by stars. And this woman, like her, was also a powerful person with 998 imperial flames. When their eyes met, they were both shocked. What a fierce aura! What a terrifying origin! The woman and Di Mengyao trembled at the same time, but the woman was obviously more cunning and did not show it. After looking at Di Mengyao, she looked at Long Chun. Long Chun seemed too lazy to look at her. He turned his head and said something to Di Mengyao. This made the woman's eyes sharp as a knife. Long Chen's actions seemed to have ignored her. However, she did not say anything, nor did she look at Long Chun. However, in her heart, she had already developed a strong desire to kill Long Chen. Long Chun, right? You have to pray that you don't fall into my hands. Wu Yu sneered silently in her heart. The golden battle flag whistled away, dragging a long tail of flames, and disappeared into the void. But the scorching flames did not dissipate for a long time. In a one-on-one battle with him, I dare not say that I will win, but I will definitely not lose. Di Mengyao looked at the direction where Wu Yu left, and said confidently. Long Chun didn't look at Wu Yu just now, he just asked Di Mengyao this question. This person is hot-tempered, and it's obvious that she's good at attacking but not at defending. Moreover, this kind of person is arrogant in her heart. As long as you can block her 3 attacks and provoke her with a few words, she will go crazy. When she attacks, she will be like a shrew, full of loopholes, and you can easily defeat her at any opportunity. Long Chen laughed. How to provoke her with words? Di Mengyao asked curiously. For example, is this all your strength? If you can't do it, go back and practice hard. Or call out your elders. Why is your face deformed? Are you constipated? Long Chen looked around and whispered when he saw that no one noticed this. Di Mengyao laughed so hard. Especially when Long Chen spoke. His expression was so annoying that most people probably couldn't stand it. Let alone the arrogant Tianjiao. Lord Long Chen, you are too bad. Di Mengyao covered her mouth and laughed. This is not called bad, this is called tactics. Sometimes when you encounter a strong opponent who is equally matched, you need to use tactics when you must fight quickly. Long Chen said seriously. Have you used such tactics, Lord Long Chen? Di Mengyao asked with a smile. She was very curious. Long Chen shook his head, looked at the sky, and sighed. It is too difficult to meet a strong opponent who is equally matched. A strong opponent is the ladder for my growth. How can I bear to take shortcuts? Crazy, too crazy. But this sentence from Long Chen's mouth made Di Mengyao convinced, and there was no doubt at all. After being with Long Chen for so long, the strong men in the dragon domain had already secretly discussed Long Chen's strength in private. But Long Chen's strength seemed to be a bottomless pit, and what they could see was just the tip of the iceberg. Hearing Long Chen's words, their previous discussion was further confirmed, because none of Long Chen's opponents could make Long Chen use all his trump cards. Lord Long Chen, where exactly is that Wu Yu? Why is their Emperor Flame so strange? Di Mengyao said seriously. They are from the Jinwu clan. They have clashed with me several times and I killed them batch after batch. It's a pity that they didn't stop. Otherwise there would be more. Long Chen said with some regret. In the chaotic space, Huolinger was like an eggplant hit by frost, and she became completely listless. When the Jinwu clan first appeared, she shouted excitedly. She thought that, with the grudge between the Jinwu clan and Long Chen, even without the temptation of the Chenkuan Ding, they would rush down to fight. But she didn't expect that this group of people just ran away, and her plan to expand the Jinwu army was completely ruined. It turned out to be the Jinwu clan. No wonder their Emperor Flame is so strange. They are called the descendants of the sun and have the blessing of the sun's fire. Their Emperor Flame is much stronger than that of ordinary people. Di Mengyao suddenly realized. Long Chen briefly told Di Mengyao about his grievances with the Jinwu clan, and commented on the advantages and disadvantages of this clan, so that they would not suffer a big loss when they met the Jinwu clan in the future. As they were chatting, a beautiful figure appeared in front of the two of them. Di Mengyao couldn't help but be surprised. How did Mu Qingyun appear? She couldn't even sense it. When she saw Mu Qingyun with excitement on her face, Long Chen also smiled. It seemed that the girl had refined the sword servant puppet and her swordsmanship had reached a higher level. Long Chen stood up and said, Qingyun has come out of retreat. Mengyao, let's separate here. I originally planned to explore the depths of Tianji Ridge. Now that I see Wu Yu and the others are so anxious to travel, I'm afraid that a treasure has been born. Qingyun and I will join in the fun. Yes. Di Mengyao quickly stood up and said goodbye. Long Chen had arranged her task for her. After everyone came out of retreat, they would go to gather the clansmen and hunt down the evil demons from outside the domain. Long Chen nodded and took Mu Qingyun to the depths of Tianji Ridge. Boom boom. Long Chen and Mu Qingyun had just run for an incense stick of time when the ground in front of them suddenly exploded, and countless evil creatures like bats came whistling. These creatures, shaped like bats, were as tall as humans, but they had no eyes, and had sharp teeth in their mouths, which were covered with light blue liquid. It was obvious at a glance that their teeth were highly poisonous. If they were bitten, even a strong man with 900 imperial flames would be in trouble. And those bats came in an overwhelming manner, surrounding Long Chen and Mu Qingyun in an instant. Buzz! Mu Qingyun's face was calm, and he formed a seal with one hand. Suddenly, a long sword appeared in the void. The long sword shook and turned into 36 swords. The 36 long swords intertwined to form a sword net, strangling the group of creatures. Puff, puff, puff. These creatures were instantly strangled by the sword net. The world was emptied in the blink of an eye. The 36 flying swords merged into one, trembled slightly, and disappeared into the void. Mu Qingyun's move was clean and neat, calm and composed. She had completely refined the flying sword, and her heart and sword were in sync. Although she had not yet reached the level of compatibility between Long Chun and Longu Sheiyue, it was easy for her to kill these evil spirits. Buzz! Suddenly, a vine shot out from behind Long Chun and pierced into the ground. Then the ground rumbled and kept rising. Boom! With a loud bang, the ground exploded, and a huge monster was pulled out of the ground by Gigi. It was a giant with 2 heads and 4 arms. The giant was dead, but his body was indestructible. When the body was pulled out of the ground, countless bats flew out. The body was actually their habitat. Mu Qingyun pinched the sword formula again, and the flying sword trembled, killing all the bats. The two came to the giant corpse and felt the vast demonic energy on it. Mu Qing couldn't help but feel a tingling sensation on his scalp. This creature has been dead for endless years, but there is still such a terrifying demonic energy left. If it were alive, I wonder how powerful it would be. The two came to the heart of the giant demon, where there was a huge hole. Long Chun sensed it and said, "Its heart was dug out. Judging from the marks on the wound, it should have been dug out by someone when it was alive." Mu Qingyun couldn't help but take a breath of cold air. This may be a god-emperor level powerhouse. It actually had its heart dug out by someone. This is too horrible. Long Chun nodded and said, "The records of the heavenly realm battlefield in the Nine Heavens world are not accurate. We know too little about the heavenly realm battlefield. The heavenly realm battlefield buried not only endless corpses, but also that unknown history." At the same time, Long Chun thought of the 5 emperors. What exactly is hidden in the heavenly realm battlefield? It allowed the 5 emperors to arrive here one after another, and then went to Tianwu continent one after another. Squeak! Long Chun nodded and said, "Since it is useful to you, just swallow it. Get stronger quickly. I believe that a bloody battle will come soon." Ha! The huge corpse was dragged into the chaotic space by Squeak. The remaining power in the corpse was exactly what it needed. It seems that the fluctuation I just sensed should be this corpse. "Third brother, we can't waste time like this," Mu Qingyun said. Before, she sensed the strange fluctuations and told Long Chun. The two came here but only found a corpse, which was not very useful. Long Chun nodded. It is better to seize treasure than to search for treasure. The latter is more efficient. The group of strong men of the Jinwu clan must have been attracted by the treasure. It is indeed impossible to delay time. Mu Qingyun was about to make a seal and summon the flying sword. Suddenly, the void roared, and a flying boat broke through the air from the top of his head. The flying boat was so fast that neither of them could see its specific appearance clearly. However, when the flying boat flew over their heads, a surprised voice came from the flying boat. Boom! The flying boat that disappeared turned around and came back. This time, Long Chun saw clearly that the flying boat was actually a flying boat of the Divine Emperor's magical instrument level. This kind of flying boat is equivalent to a war fortress. Its value must be at least 10 times that of the Divine Emperor's magical instruments of the same level, and it can even reach 100 times. And this kind of flying boat is controlled by formations. Even ordinary practitioners can exert great power as long as they have enough resources. Ordinary Divine Emperor's magical instruments cannot compare with it at all. The flying boat fell back, and Mu Qingyun was a little nervous. He was ready to take action. "Wow, Brother Long, it's really you." A surprised voice came from the flying boat, and then a group of people walked down from the flying boat. The leader was a young man with a fair face and handsome appearance. He was dressed in a white long robe, showing a refined aura, like a scholar. However, he had horns on his head and he was a demon. What surprised Mu Qingyun was that although his cultivation was concealed, he could put great pressure on Mu Qingyun. His strength was probably not inferior to Di Mengyao. Behind the elegant man stood hundreds of demon warriors, all with imperial flames between 995 and 997. Although there were only a few hundred people, their strength was terrifying. The man in white looked at Long Chun with a look of surprise, as if he had seen a close friend he had not seen for many years. "It's you, Ing Wudao?" Long Chun did not expect to meet this person here. When he was in the Purple Blood Tribe, Long Chun and Luo Yanfeng and others went to war with the demons, and had an encounter with this person on the battlefield. This person was a descendant of the royal family of the demons, the Tsai clan, and he gave Long Chun a map, a nameplate and a dagger, which allowed Long Chun to sneak into the demon's lair and eventually destroy it. Long Chun did not expect to meet Ing Wudao here. Seeing Ing Wudao's surprise, he walked over. "Ha ha ha." The two laughed at the same time, feeling like meeting an old friend in a foreign land. Ing Wudao actually opened his arms and gave Long Chun a big hug. Seeing this scene, the demon clan masters behind Ing Wudao changed their faces. They looked at each other and saw the worry in each other's hearts. This Long Chun is one of the leaders of the human race and the mortal enemy of their demon clan. If Ing Wudao and Long Chun are so close, the sky will fall if this is reported back. Mu Qingyun watched the two hugging, and she was also stunned. That was the demon clan. Even if the demon clan masters killed by Long Chun could not cover the entire Tianji Ridge, he could cover half of it, right? The two of them could actually become friends. "Let's go on the boat and talk. By the way, do you have any wine? After drinking your wine last time, I have no taste for other wines." Ing Wudao smiled and made a gesture of invitation. "Is this a pirate ship? The kind that you can't get off once you get on it?" Long Chun said with a smile, but his footsteps had already started to move. "What a joke! You are known as the strongest of the younger generation of the Nine Heavens human race, and you are afraid of my pirate ship," Ing Wudao said indifferently. However, after the two of them took a few steps, they were blocked by the group of demon clan strongmen. The smile on Ing Wudao's face disappeared in an instant. A strong man gritted his teeth and said, "Your Highness, please think twice. This person is a great enemy of my demon clan and should be killed directly." Puff! Ing Wudao pointed a finger at the man's brow, and a divine light pierced the man's head, killing him instantly. That person was a strong man with 997 imperial flames, and his aura was very strong, but he didn't seem to expect that Ing Wudao would actually kill him. His eyes widened, and the fire of his soul was extinguished in an instant, and his body fell to the ground. Those strong men who blocked Ing Wudao looked at the scene in front of them with horror, and some of them couldn't believe their eyes. Ing Wudao, who had always been gentle and polite, turned his face in an instant and killed that person directly. The others were trembling with fear and hurriedly stepped aside. Mu Qingyun was also shocked. A strong man with 997 imperial flames was killed just like that? Even Long Chun was shocked. What was Ing Wudao going to do? "Just because I have a good temper doesn't mean I'm easy to bully. You need to always remember who is the master and who is the servant. Do I need you servants to remind me of my decision? Anyone who dares to say anything will end up like him." Ing Wudao's eyes were like knives, sweeping over many powerful demons. They were all frightened and dared not say anything. Ing Wudao turned around and said apologetically, "I was rude and offended Brother Long. Please don't mind, Brother Long. Let's talk on the boat. Killing a chicken for me? It doesn't look like it. I'm not a monkey. Such a childish trick. Ing Wudao, who is so smart, shouldn't do it. Please." Long Chun also wanted to know what Ing Wudao's purpose was in inviting him on board. He stretched out his hand and walked side by side with Ing Wudao, and Mu Qingyun followed closely behind. Wow! After getting on the flying boat, Long Chun found that there was a different world inside the flying boat, with pavilions, towers, rockery and waterfalls, and a fresh and natural atmosphere blowing in his face. That breath seemed to wash away the troubles in people's hearts and remove all their vigilance. Long Chun couldn't help but sigh. Brother Ing, this is a place for elegant people to live in. A war fortress has been turned into a paradise by Brother Ing. It seems that I am not the only one who is tired of this world. Ha ha ha. Hearing Long Chun say this, Ing Wudao laughed and patted Long Chen's shoulder hard and said, Brother Long, you are really my confidant. You have seen all this. Follow me. Under Ing Wudao's guidance, Long Chun and Mu Qingyun moved forward all the way, but those powerful demons had disappeared. The space here seemed to belong to Ing Wudao alone. This flying boat is called Pujuan. It's a very domineering name. It is an offensive divine emperor magic weapon. After I escaped from that ghost place, I found my Tsai clan. The ancestor pitied me for suffering for so many years and compensated me. Ing Wudao explained as he walked. Long Chun was shocked when he heard this. This colorful winged demon tribe was so generous that a member of the tribe who had been wandering outside could be rewarded with a war fortress of the Divine Emperor's magic weapon level. No, that group of people called Ing Wudao, Your Highness. This person's identity was definitely not ordinary in the colorful winged demon tribe. The three of them came to a small hill. There was an exquisite pavilion on the top of the hill. Various refreshments had been prepared long ago, and two beautiful maids stood quietly beside it. When he saw the two maids, Long Chen's eyes instantly became sharp. The woman dressed as a maid was actually from the spirit tribe. Seeing Long Chen's sudden change of face, Ing Wudao hurriedly said, Brother Long, don't misunderstand. I paid a high price to invite her, but there was no coercion. The two maids saw that Long Chen's face was gloomy, and hurriedly stood up and said, Lord Long Chun, Lord Wudao did not lie to you. We are indeed willing to serve Lord Wudao, and there is absolutely no reluctance. Long Chun still couldn't believe it. He said seriously, Don't be afraid. With me here, no one can hurt you. One of the maids said hurriedly, Lord Long Chun, you have misunderstood Lord Wudao. Lord Ing Wudao once helped our Luoling clan and saved us from destruction. We really want to repay Lord Wudao, but Lord Wudao has no other request. He only asks us sisters to be his maids for 3 years. After 3 years, he will send us back to the clan. Long Chun looked at Ing Wudao, who waved his hand and said, They gave me a lot of things to express their gratitude, but I refused them all. But I like the spirituality of the Ling clan, so I invited them to be my guests. Brother Long, don't get me wrong. You can see that they are all perfect. Besides, I was tired of this kind of thing in the original place. Kept them here just because I like them, and there is absolutely no malice. The people of the Ling clan will not lie, and Ing Wudao is also a very proud person in his bones. He also disdains to lie. Long Chun suddenly felt embarrassed and clasped his fists slightly and said, Brother Ing, I'm sorry. The Spirit Clan has helped me several times when I was in danger. I will always remember this kindness in my heart. Maybe someone hurt me, Long Chun, and I may not care, but if someone dares to hurt the Spirit Clan, I will definitely fight him to the death. Was excited just now and I offended you. Please forgive me, Brother Ing. I will personally pour wine for you to apologize later. It's okay, it's okay. It's good that the misunderstanding has been resolved. It turns out that Brother Long and the Spirit Clan have such a deep connection. That's even better. Come on. Let's sit down and talk. Ing Wudao was not angry, but a little excited. After the three of them sat down, Long Chun directly took out the fine wine from the Dionysus Palace. After Ing Wudao repeatedly postponed, Long Chun still poured a bowl of wine for Ing Wudao first. After the two drank a bowl, they laughed and the embarrassment just now was revealed. At this time, the two maids had the opportunity to get the wine jar and pour wine for the three people, but Mu Qingyun shook her hand gently. She didn't dare to drink. She had to stay calm at all times. The flying boat was full of powerful demons. Now the two of them were talking and laughing. If they were not careful, they might overturn the table and fight. She dared not relax at all. Long Chun picked up the wine bowl and said, The last bowl is my apology. This bowl of wine is to congratulate Brother Ing for diving like a dragon and soaring into the clouds. From now on, you will be free and unrestrained, and travel the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Thank you, Brother Long. Ing Wudao laughed, clinked his glasses with Long Chun, and drank the whole bowl of fine wine. The two looked at each other. Long Chun saw that Ing Wudao was hesitant to speak, and Long Chun thought to himself, here it comes. Sure enough, Ing Wudao sighed and said, free and unrestrained. What a desirable state. Brother Long, you are amazingly talented with unparalleled magical skills, and are known as the first genius of the young generation of the human race in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Can you be free and unrestrained? This question is thought-provoking and intriguing. Is there anyone in the world who can really be free and unrestrained? Long Chun groaned for a moment and said, I can't do it now, but I believe that one day I will eventually achieve this goal with my brothers. I'm afraid this road is full of thorns and obstacles. Ing Wudao held the wine bowl in his hand and asked meaningfully, if I, Ing Wudao, am an obstacle on Brother Long's way forward, what will Brother Long do? Is the real purpose exposed? Mu Qingyun's nerves tensed up in an instant. Swish the sword and kill it. Long Chun answered without hesitation. Ing Wudao slowly put down the wine bowl, filled Long Chun with wine first, then filled himself with wine, slowly put down the wine jar, looked at Long Chun and said, Brother Long, although you are strong, I am no longer the Ing Wudao of the past. Now I have stepped into the last step of the Emperor Flame Extreme Realm. What can you use to kill me? Mu Qingyun's heart trembled suddenly. From the tone of her voice, this person has reached the last step and condensed 999 Emperor Flames. No wonder he can bring her so much pressure without revealing any breath. Long Chun shook his head and said, no matter how strong you are, you can't stop me from moving forward. I have 5 old friends who have entrusted everything to me. Let alone one Ing Wudao, even if there are tens of millions of Ing Wudao, they can't shake my confidence. After Long Chun finished speaking, he picked up the wine bowl, and Ing Wudao also picked up the wine bowl. The two drank it all. Although the atmosphere was tense, the wine did not stop. After they finished drinking, Ing Wudao wanted to get the wine jar, but Long Chun took it up first and filled it with wine. Ing Wudao looked at the wine in front of him and said with a wry smile, I dare not drink anymore. If we fall out, you ask me to spit out the wine. Wouldn't it be embarrassing? Then you should drink more. If we fall out, you may not be able to drink such good wine in the future. Long Chun picked up the wine bowl and drank it all. Ing Wudao was stunned and hesitated for a while. In the end, he picked up the wine bowl and drank it all. After several bowls of wine, Ing Wudao fell silent, and Long Chun stopped talking. At that moment, the atmosphere became very tense. The 2 spirit women also looked terrified. They didn't want Long Chun to conflict with Ing Wudao. Ing Wudao finally spoke. The world is like a cage, which binds all of us. If you want to break it, there will be only 3 results in the future. Long Chun didn't speak, but listened quietly. Ing Wudao continued. 1. If you win, you will finally stand at the top of the world, dominate all the ways and wipe out all of us foreign invaders. 2. If you lose, you will die, and we foreign strongmen will rule the entire 9 heavens and 10 earths, and the natives of the 9 heavens and 10 earths will be wiped out. 3. There is no winning or losing, only endless killing over and over again in an endless cycle. In addition to these 3 results, there seems to be no 4th result. What do you think, Brother Long? Long Chun nodded. Ing Wudao's analysis was very thorough. Ing Wudao sighed deeply. But these 3 results are not good results, because the evolution of these 3 results is still in a cage, and no one can be free. Long Chen's heart moved, and Ing Wudao's tone was also full of helplessness and fatigue. Even if the human race wins, will the conflict in the 9 heavens end? No, the desires of the human race are more terrible than the devil. If our extraterritorial demon race wins, will the 9 heavens be pacified? No, limited resources will only cause endless wars. In this way, the chaos in this world will never be pacified, and the ending has already been determined. Even if you, Brother Long, win, what does it matter? If I win, I can reshape the order of this world. Long Chun said calmly. Reshape the order of this world? Ing Wudao's eyes flashed with a gleam of light. He looked at Long Chun in shock because Long Chun said this without thinking, and when he said it, he was full of confidence. Ing Wudao shook his head and said, Brother Long, you don't know what a terrible existence you are facing. The Lord of the 9 Stars in those days stood at the top of the 10,000 Daos, invincible in the world, and had many powerful men under his command. How amazing and brilliant was he! This person called for hundreds of responses, and all races respected him. He commanded the world, and no one dared to disobey, but you also saw the ending. The strong men of the 9 Stars lineage, as numerous as the stars in the sky, were still killed in pieces. The 9 heavens and 10 earths were beaten to pieces. Only the local creatures of the 100 domains and thousands of states survived, and they were almost completely destroyed. The strong men of the 9 heavens world at that time ushered in the most glorious era, but they still ended up like this. And now your 9 heavens world is not united. The myriad races are fighting internally. The internal troubles are turbulent, and the external troubles are endless. I really don't know where Brother Long's confidence comes from. Even if his heart is firm, Mu Qingyun was still hit by Ing Wudao's words. In the most glorious era, the 9 heavens world was defeated. Today's 9 heavens, internal strife and disputes are endless. I don't know how many wars will break out every day. When I think of this, it really makes people discouraged and feel powerless. Long Chun said in a deep voice, My confidence comes from my brothers, from my confidants, and from those kind people. I can't give up the existence of kindness because of those evil guys. What I want to protect is what I believe in. Some responsibilities must be taken by someone, and some dangers must be faced by someone. No matter what kind of enemy we face, we will never retreat a bit. After hearing what Long Chun said, Ing Wudao shook his head and said, It seems that you misunderstood me. I didn't persuade you to retreat, nor did I mean to undermine your confidence. You humans have a famous saying, the opposite is the movement of the Tao, and the weak is the use of the Tao. Anything that develops to the extreme will inevitably develop in the opposite direction. When it is extremely strong, it will definitely become weak, but if a balance of neither strong nor weak is maintained, it will not turn to extremes. If we work together to maintain a balance, perhaps this is the best choice. Hearing this, Mu Qingyun looked at Ing Wudao in disbelief. Ing Wudao's idea was too dangerous. If the demons from outside the domain knew about it, he would be in danger. And the fact that he could say such words showed his extreme trust in Long Chun. Obviously, he did not want either side to be destroyed and wanted to try to maintain a balance. Long Chun represented the 9 heavens world, and he represented the demons from outside the domain. If the two of them secretly joined forces to maintain a balance, this would be a way to have the best of both worlds. However, this idea was too bold and too dangerous. If things went wrong, both Long Chun and Ing Wudao would become sinners who would be pointed at by thousands of people and would be hunted down by their own people. To use your words, the opposite is the movement of the Tao. The situation in our 9 heavens world has already reached a point where it cannot get any worse, so when it reaches the limit, it is the time to develop in a positive direction. I will not give up this opportunity, Brother Ing. You'd better give up this idea as soon as possible. In addition, if we follow your plan, we will stand at the top of the 10,000 Taos in the future, and we will indeed be free then. But our freedom is bought with the lives and blood of the people below. I don't want this kind of freedom. Long Chun shook his head. What do you want? Ing Wudao was rejected by Long Chun several times, and his face turned cold. What I want is an orderly world, where kind people can be treated most gently. Long Chun looked at the two sisters who were a little terrified and smiled slightly. After that, Long Chun stood up and took out 2 jars of wine and said, We didn't reach an agreement today, so we will leave 2 jars of wine as the boat fare. Long Chun's meaning was very clear. There was no need for everyone to talk anymore. If they talked any more, they might fight. Seeing that Long Chun was about to leave, Ing Wudao was also helpless. But before Long Chun left, he told Long Chun with a serious face, You have to be careful of someone. His name is Chen Jie. he will definitely come to you because the other half of the Chenquan Ding is in his hands. Third brother. This Ing Wudao is so strong. After leaving the flying boat, Mu Qingyun summoned a flying sword. The flying sword changed its shape and was several feet wide. The two sat on it, and Mu Qingyun said with a solemn face. Long Chen nodded and said, "This person has been in the demon clan's nest for countless years. Once he escapes, he will be like a dragon returning to the sea. Although I didn't take action, I felt a great threat from him. This situation is very rare among the strong men of the same generation. If a conflict occurs, this person must be a terrible enemy." Long Chen also had his eyes wrong. The Ing Wudao at the beginning was completely different from the Ing Wudao now. The reason why Long Chen evaluated Ing Wudao so much was not only because of his strong strength, but also because of his character and forbearance. In the evil spirit environment of the demon clan's nest, struggling to survive, this person's wisdom is absolutely incomparable to ordinary people. Long Chen didn't take brainless guys like Long Wan and Long Biluo seriously, but Ing Wudao was different. This person was truly wise and brave. However, this Ing Wudao doesn't look like a bad guy, Mu Qingyun said tentatively. So-called good guys and bad guys are just different labels based on different standpoints. As a demon from the outer domain, he naturally has to speak from his own standpoint. In the future, when the two races confront each other, he has no choice, and of course I have no choice either. Long Chen sighed. Mu Qingyun hesitated and said, "Third brother, please don't be angry when I say something. In fact, I think the method proposed by Ing Wudao is not unacceptable. In the future, you and Ing Wudao will both stand at the top of the 9 heavens. You are the leader of the 9 heavens world, and he is the leader of the outer domain strongmen. When everyone stops fighting, won't the 9 heavens world usher in peace?" Third brother, did I say something wrong? Suddenly realizing that Long Chen's face became a little gloomy, Mu Qingyun hurriedly stopped talking. Long Chen did not speak, but looked into the distance. After a long time, he spoke. "Do you know why the gap between you and Yu Zifeng is so big, as both are sword cultivators? Maybe Qingyun is dull." Mu Qingyun knew that he must have said something wrong. Long Chen was very angry now. However, Long Chen was suppressing his anger and did not explode. If it was someone else, Long Chen might have cursed him a long time ago. "You are wrong. Yu Zifeng has no talent for cultivation at all. He does not believe in talent. He does not even believe in himself. He only believes in the sword in his hand. Everything he has is given to him by the sword in his hand. Therefore, all of himself is given to the sword in his hand without reservation. He does not believe what he sees, what he hears, and what he tastes. Because the 5 colors make people blind. The 5 sounds make people deaf. The 5 flavors make people refreshing. Galloping and hunting make people crazy. And rare goods hinder people's actions. People have desires. When desires last a lifetime, people will blind, deaf, talkative, black-hearted, no right or wrong, good or evil, thus falling into chaos and unable to extricate oneself. But the sword has no desires, its nature is constant. So if there is always desire, one can see its wonders. If there is always no desire, one can see its boundaries. Zifeng stands between desire and no desire, a two-way comparison, so he can see many things that many people cannot see, which has made him what he is now. Long Chen's words were like the sound of a bell, thought-provoking, and made Mu Qingyun's heart sway. Long Chen was telling her the secret of Yu Zifeng's practice. Yu Zifeng put his emotions into the sword, but he could only reach the point between desire and no desire. How can Ing Wudao and I do it? According to him, one day in the future, when both he and I stand on the top of the 9 heavens, will the world really be at peace? There is no 2 suns in the sky, and no 2 masters for the people. How can we allow others to sleep soundly beside our bed? By then, both he and I will be swords hanging over each other's heads. Who can sleep peacefully? Even if we can restrain each other, how long can we restrain each other? 100 years? 1,000 years? 10,000 years? My personality now is not different from my personality 10 years ago. Who can guarantee that we will be the same as we are now? Ing Wudao's starting point is good. He hopes that the top leaders of the two major forces will not take action, and let the people below fight, restrain and consume each other, and treat all living beings as pawns. Transfer the pain to all living beings so that we can be free. But this kind of freedom, Qingyun, do you want it? As he spoke, Long Chen's voice became more and more severe. Mu Qingyun lowered her head in shame and dared not say a word. Only then did she realize how naive and stupid her thoughts were, and how fragile her heart of Tao was. Ing Wudao's words instantly shook her. Using all living beings as chess pieces, we work hard to practice, and go through endless hardships. Are we going to live the way we hate in the end? If we make peace with the foreign demons, then what about those ancestors who fought for freedom and shed their blood? What about those brothers who followed me to fight and fell halfway? Long Chen couldn't go on here. If he continued, he would lose control. I'm sorry, third brother. Qingyun is too stupid. Please don't be angry. Mu Qingyun saw that Long Chen's face was livid and a little scared, so he hurriedly admitted his mistake. Long Chen looked into the distance and took a deep breath. If Yu Zifeng heard what Mu Qingyun said, he would be mad at this girl. Yu Zifeng taught Mu Qingyun a lot of things. Although they were not master and apprentice in name, they were master and apprentice in reality. As a sword cultivator, his heart should be as solid as a rock and as sharp as a sword. How could he be shaken by what others said? Seeing Mu Qingyun looking pitiful and about to cry, Long Chen was embarrassed to continue scolding him. Your strength is already very strong, but your sword realm is too weak. Don't pursue power blindly. Remember, seek everything outside, and it will be the same as one day for 10 years. Seek everything inside, and it will be like a new life every day. And we practitioners have been hovering between inside and outside, switching between desire and no desire. You are a sword cultivator, you must learn to ask the sword. Long Chen said. Mu Qingyun nodded hurriedly. Only then did she realize that the gap between her and Long Chen and Yu Zifeng was not just in strength. Your perception is sharp and you can sense Ing Wudao's kindness from the bottom of his heart. You believe that he is a good person, so you are easily infected. But you have to remember one thing. Who says that good people will not do wrong things? When a good person does something wrong, the disaster caused is often devastating. Also, the reason why I was so angry is that you only heard his superficial meaning, but did not see what he wanted to express behind it. Long Chen looked at Mu Qingyun and sighed deeply. What does he want to express behind it? Mu Qingyun was stunned. She did not understand what Long Chen meant at all. Boom! Long Chen was about to speak when the sky and the earth suddenly darkened, and then a golden claw shattered the remaining air and grabbed Long Chen and Mu Qingyun. The golden giant claws, flashing with golden devil flames, were extremely powerful. The creature was too big to see its full appearance. The golden giant claws had already grabbed the two of them fiercely, looking for death. Mu Qingyun, who had just been scolded by Long Chen, was immediately furious. With a pinch of sword formula, a flying sword shot out and fiercely slashed on the golden giant claws. Bang! There was a loud bang, and the creature cried out in surprise. The void exploded and it immediately fled. A large amount of golden blood was scattered on the void. Who? Vines emerged, caught the golden blood, and finally slowly took it back into the chaotic space. Long Chen couldn't help but laugh. A few drops of blood essence. Gigi didn't let go. This kid is too good at living. That creature is so scary. My flying sword only hurt its fur. Mu Qingyun was a little shocked. She didn't hold back on this attack, thinking that she could cut off its legs. The creature was not only terrifying in strength, but also in speed. From beginning to end, Mu Qingyun didn't see what it was. Long Chen shook his head secretly. Mu Qingyun's realm was too far behind Yu Zifeng's. If Yu Zifeng had taken action, the monster would have been split into two pieces by one sword. At first, Long Chen wanted to match Mu Qingyun and Yu Zifeng. They were both talented and beautiful, and both were sword cultivators, but they could never get along. Now, Long Chun suspected that Yu Zifeng disliked this girl for being too stupid. Third brother, why are you looking at me like that? Did I say something wrong again? Seeing Long Chun staring at her, Mu Qingyun suddenly became a little uneasy. Long Chun looked at Mu Qingyun's pitiful appearance and couldn't help but reach out and rub the girl's head. This girl was so stupid that it made people feel distressed. But some things cannot be taught. When the opportunity comes, she will awaken by herself. If the opportunity does not come, it will be useless to teach her. Long Chun said, don't use the sword control technique for the time being. Hold the sword honestly, question the sword with your heart, and question your heart with the sword. If you can't sense the enemy's true realm, just leave it to the sword in your hand. Listen to its voice, and it will tell you. Although these 36 flying swords are powerful, Mu Qingyun has begun to be led into a ditch. This cannot go on. No matter how strong the talent is, if the road is wrong, everything is empty. It is still too early for her to use the sword control technique. Mu Qingyun hurriedly nodded. Although she didn't know why, she believed that Long Chen's words were the absolute truth and it was right to listen. By the way, has Zifeng never taught you anything substantial? Long Chen suddenly asked. Yu Zifeng had instructed Mu Qingyun, but the instructions were often reminders and corrections. It seemed that from the state of Mu Qingyun's attack, Yu Zifeng did not pass on the real things to her. He taught me 2 moves. Mu Qingyun didn't dare to look at Long Chun, and lowered her head. What 2 moves? Long Chun looked at Mu Qingyun's expression and said a little strangely, draw the sword and sheath it. Mu Qingyun said with a look of grievance. Long Chun was stunned. Teaching a sword genius to draw the sword and sheath it? The closed-door disciple only teaches the closed door? Show it to me. Let me see. Long Chun didn't believe that Yu Zifeng would be so boring to play tricks on him. Clang. The long sword was unsheathed and sheathed. This simplest action was completed by Mu Qingyun in an instant. After watching it, Long Chun slowly closed his eyes and covered his heart with his hands. Seeing this, Mu Qingyun's face suddenly became enlightened. Third brother, are you hinting to me that I should not judge by what I see, but by what I feel? Feeling shit. Seeing your move, I feel so blocked in my heart. Long Chun said unhappily. Third brother. Long Chun actually cursed, which made Mu Qingyun a little at a loss. Long Chun tried to make his voice calmer. Out of the sheath is movement, and into the sheath is stillness. The opportunities of movement and stillness are ever-changing. When your long sword is out of the sheath, the sword body and the sheath rub against each other, and the sword sound produced is the call of the long sword to the soul, but you can't hear it at all. When the long sword is sheathed, it turns from movement to stillness. The sound of the sword is a farewell to you. Can you feel its emotion? One person and one sword can't resonate emotionally. Can a sword cultivator still be called a sword cultivator? After Long Chen's guidance, Mu Qingyun suddenly realized why Yu Zifeng asked her to practice drawing and sheathing the sword well, and never taught her anything afterwards. It turned out that this was the first step to get started. But she couldn't get started, and even suspected that Yu Zifeng was deliberately making things difficult for her. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but feel full of regret, and at the same time felt that she was really stupid. Why is Zifeng so strong? Because everyone controls the sword with the person, and controls the stillness with the movement. The highest realm is the unity of the person and the sword. But Zifeng is not like that. He is the unity of the sword and the person, and controls the movement with the stillness. Forget it, I won't say so much. You won't understand it. Just practice drawing and putting away the sword. Long Chun was too lazy to say anything more. Mu Qingyun certainly couldn't understand so much. Third brother. You are really amazing and know so much, Mu Qingyun said with admiration. Don't talk about those useless things. You are definitely not as good as Guoran in flattery. Just practice your sword, Long Chun said unhappily. However, after Mu Qingyun flattered him, Long Chun was embarrassed to continue to curse. Mu Qingyun chuckled and saw that Long Chun was not as serious as before, and immediately relaxed a lot. Mu Qingyun stood up and stood behind Long Chun. ready to start practicing swordplay, but Long Chun called her to stop. "Don't stand behind me. What if you pretend to accidentally chop me? I can feel more at ease if you stand in front of me." Long Chun was actually afraid that she would take revenge. Mu Qingyun laughed so hard that tears almost came out. This third brother was sometimes scary serious, and sometimes naughty like a child. Mu Qingyun stood in front of Long Chun and slowly drew and put away her sword. She didn't practice this move before because she was already a top genius. Wouldn't practicing this move make others laugh at her? But now it's completely different. She tried her best to feel the sound of the sword and communicate with it with her soul. Gradually, her soul fluctuations began to resonate rhythmically with the sound of the sword. Long Chun couldn't help but nod slightly. Mu Qingyun's talent is very good, but her comprehension is really not good. What a great swordman unity. I think what you said makes a lot of sense. Applause. At this moment, Longu Sheyue's voice came. "Why don't we have a swordman unity? It will definitely be stronger than a swordman unity." "You mean you are the leader? Doesn't that mean you can kill anyone you don't like?" Long Chun said unhappily. He didn't expect this guy to catch his words. "I will kill anyone I like," Longu Sheiyue said without hesitation. Long Chun. However, Longu Sheiyue's words were just a joke, not serious. Long Chun looked at Mu Qingyun, who was concentrating on practicing sword and was getting better and better, and said to the Qianquan Ding in the chaotic space, "Senior, what do you think of Qian Jie?" Qian Jie, Ing Wudao specifically told Long Chun to be careful of the name, and from Ing Wudao's tone, it can be felt that he was deeply afraid of Qian Jie. When Long Chun heard that the other half of the Qianquan Ding, Qian Ding, was actually in Qian Jie's hands, even Long Chun couldn't help but feel his heart beating wildly. Along the way, Long Chun had too many things to digest, and now he finally had time to ask this question. Because if Long Chun didn't ask, Qianquan Ding might never take the initiative to answer. It seems that Qian Ding has found a successor, and it entered the Tianyu battlefield, and I couldn't sense it, which means that it recovered faster than me, and its strength should be greater than mine. Qianquan Ding said, and its voice was full of solemnity. The power is still greater than Kuan Ding? Long Chun couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. This is troublesome. Qianquan Ding continued. When Qian Ding and I separated, the way of Qianquan became unbalanced, and we lost the restraint on each other. The way of Qianquan is the way of heaven and earth, the way of yin and yang, the way of hardness and softness. When the two were separated, I lacked the nourishment of the masculine and it lacked the restraint of the feminine, so we both recovered very slowly. But I have a hunch that the way of Qian has become completely unbalanced. If we meet again, I'm afraid that there will not be fusion between us, but a battle. Why? Long Chun was shocked. They were originally one, why would they fight? Qian represents the sky. Kuan represents the earth. If Qian is on top and Kuan is on the bottom, it is called Fu. If the earth is on top and the sky is on the bottom, it is called Tai. Yang represents fire. Yin represents water. If fire is on top and water is on the bottom, it is called Huashui Wei Yi. If water is on top and fire is on the bottom, it is called Shui Hua Ji Yi. The sky is originally high above, so its nature must be downward, so wind, frost, rain, and snow are all from top to bottom. The earth is on the bottom, so its nature needs to be upward, so the flowers, plants, and trees born on the earth all grow from bottom to top. Now we have been separated for too long. The sky is not restricted by the earth, so it rises higher and higher. The fire is not restricted by water, so it burns more and more vigorously. You have always suspected that someone is controlling the way of heaven, which should be related to the Qian Ding. You mean, someone is controlling the way of heaven through the Qian Ding? Long Chun took a breath. Isn't this impossible? Isn't Qianquan Ding one of the 10 supreme artifacts of the 9 heavens and 10 earths? It is a divine artifact of destiny born from nature and earth, the embodiment of the great Tao, the weight that balances the heavens and the worlds, and the steel wall that protects all spirits. How could it become someone else's tool to interfere with the laws of heaven? Isn't this a betrayal of the 9 heavens and 10 earths? Long Chun couldn't imagine it. If what Kuan Ding said was true, and even the 10 great chaos artifacts betrayed the 9 heavens and 10 earths, then what else can be believed in this world? Kuan Ding was silent. It knew that Long Chun might not be able to accept this reality, but its intuition told it that this possibility was very high. Maybe things are not as bad as I thought, but we must prepare for the worst. If I am its target, then its purpose is to control me and obtain the complete power of Chen Kuan. Chen Kuan Ding said solemnly. After calming down from the brief shock, Long Chun nodded. It is better to be safe than sorry. Being prepared can avoid trouble. Old Ding, don't be afraid. I'm here to help you deal with it. Longu Sheue said nonchalantly. Then thank you first. Kuan Ding said meaningfully. Senior, what do you need me to do? Long Chun asked. Kuan Ding said, the battle between Chen Ding and I is a fateful one. If we are separated for a long time, we will be together. If we are together for a long time, we will be separated. You can't help me. However, Chen Ding has already found the successor. To prevent future troubles, the successor will definitely find ways to kill you. If I kill him, will it help you? Long Chun asked back. Kuan Ding said in a deep voice, let's not talk about whether you can kill him or not. Even if you kill him, it will not have any effect on Chen Ding. Chen Ding is different from me. It is impossible for it to recognize its master. I am worried that when it attacks, it will kill you as soon as possible. Because I have recognized you as my master, if you die, it will be a heavy blow to me. Before Chen Ding comes to us, you must try to strengthen yourself. Otherwise, I will not be able to take care of you once the war starts. Kuan Ding's meaning is very clear. If Long Chun is killed first in a battle with Chen Ding, then Kuan Ding will lose in advance. It seems that we have to open the 8th gate as soon as possible. Long Chun was awed. Chen Ding is here. This is probably his biggest crisis in the Tianyu battlefield. Unfortunately, Ing Wudao only told Long Chun the name of Chen Jie, but did not tell him any news about him. Qing Yun, spread your perception and follow the direction of that creature to see what their goal is. Long Chun said. With the keen perception of a sword cultivator, it is very easy to track a person, especially that creature from outside the domain which does not know how to hide its breath. It will leave a long trail of footprints just like running in the snow. The task of tracking was handed over to Mu Qingyun. Long Chen's soul entered the chaotic space. When it entered the chaotic space again, the aura of the chaotic space was completely different from before. It is not known whether it is because it has devoured too many corpses of creatures. The laws of the chaotic space have become more powerful and more complete. Squeak! Zhizhi was very excited when Long Chen arrived. At this time, its body was as thick as a water tank, and its torso was flashing with metal-like patterns, like the body of a strange python, which contained infinite power. Black lightning kept flowing on its body, and the aura of destruction was frightening. Zhizhi was getting stronger all the time, and its potential seemed to be unlimited. Brother Long Chun. Lei Linger and Hua Linger also stopped practicing, and transformed from giant dragons into beautiful girls. What shocked Long Chun was that the Emperor flame around them began to condense, and they both entered the 990th level. Hee, we wanted to give Brother Long Chun a surprise, but we didn't expect that Brother Long Chun would find out so soon. Hua Linger pulled Long Chen's hand and said excitedly, when did you start to condense the Emperor flame? Long Chun said with an incredible look on his face. Condensing the Emperor flame means gaining the recognition of heaven and earth and being blessed by luck. However, the two of them are spirits, not flesh and blood creatures. Where does this luck come from? How can they carry it? Our Emperor flame power was given to us by the Chaos Space. Just after the battle with the evil Dragon Clan, the laws of the Chaos Space seemed to have changed. We sensed the power of luck, so we began to learn to condense our own flame of luck. Unexpectedly, it really succeeded. Lei Linger also said excitedly. With the blessing of the power of luck, they seemed to be integrated with the chaotic space and could use the power of the chaotic space to fight. Long Chen knew that the chaotic space had undergone such a big change. With the blessing of the Emperor Flame, It meant that Hualinger and Leilinger were completely different from the past. Zhiji was getting stronger, and Hualinger and Leilinger were also getting stronger rapidly, which made Long Chun full of confidence. Third brother. There is a situation ahead. Long Chun had planned to meditate quietly under the Seven Treasures glazed tree in the chaos space, so that his chaotic thoughts could calm down and continue to comprehend the eighth gate. Long Chun, who possessed 977 imperial flames, seemed to have touched the edge of some kind of power. However, before Long Chun could comprehend it, he was awakened by Mu Qingyun. Long Chun opened his eyes and saw that the mountains in front of him had collapsed, and the land was red for tens of thousands of miles. Flames emerged from the earth from time to time, and the scorching heat was palpitating. It's the sun fire of the Golden Crow clan. It seems that there has just been a great battle here. Long Chun looked at the battlefield and said, "This is a good sign, which means that the huge creature is heading in the same direction as the Golden Crow clan. If the two were not meeting by chance, their goals should be the same. To be able to attract such a strong man at the same time, I'm afraid that there must be a treasure in the depths of Tianji Ridge. Come out!" Mu Qingyun suddenly shouted, and the long sword was unsheathed. The void was cut open like a sky curtain. A scream came from tens of thousands of miles away, and a thin and long sword exploded. At the same time, an arm was cut into blood mist, but the owner of the long sword had disappeared. What a fast speed, he actually escaped. Mu Qingyun was surprised. This man could actually escape from her sword. His strength was very extraordinary. He is a strong man from the hunting family. His stealth technique is very powerful. He can sense the existence of the other party at a distance of tens of thousands of miles. It seems that the previous scolding was not in vain. Long Chun nodded with relief. Mu Qingyun's sword finally had a hint of Yu Zifeng's flavor, which meant that she was not practicing foolishly, but had really gained insights. Mu Qingyun was stunned. She only then noticed that her perception distance, attack speed and accuracy had greatly improved compared to before. She was a little excited. This boring sword drawing and sword collection had worn away her pride and edges, allowing her to lower her posture and communicate with the long sword in the simplest way. Unexpectedly, the harvest was so great. She looked at Long Chun and saw him looking at her with a smile. She couldn't help but sigh in her heart that Long Chun and Yu Zifeng were simply godlike existences. Long Chun was obviously not a sword cultivator, but in the realm of swordsmanship, he could leave her far behind. He was simply an omnipotent existence. Mu Qingyun slowly retracted her long sword. The long sword rubbed against the scabbard, making a gentle sword sound. At this time, the sound of the sword sounded like the sound of nature, as if it was full of praise for her sword. That moment, she seemed to hear the voice of the sword. Holding the hilt of the sword, she actually had a moving feeling of flesh and blood connection. At that moment, she knew that her swordsmanship realm had improved again, and this improvement could not be expressed in words, and it was not like the substantial increase of Emperor Yen. It was invisible and intangible. That feeling could only be felt by oneself, and it could only be understood but not expressed in words. Long Chun nodded. Mu Qingyun, the stupid kid, had an epiphany. She had a bright future. The next time she saw Yu Zifeng, even the arrogant Yu Zifeng would probably look at her with new eyes, right? Yu Zifeng's swordsmanship had gone further than anyone else. But this guy didn't know how to teach, and he had no patience to teach. But Long Chun was different. In swordsmanship, Long Chun didn't know as much as Yu Zifeng, nor as deeply, but Long Chun understood human nature too thoroughly. Yu Zifeng was already standing on the top of the mountain, while Mu Qingyun was still halfway up the mountain. The scenery Yu Zifeng saw was incomprehensible to Mu Qingyun because she couldn't see it. Long Chun was not in the mountain, and he could see more clearly from a distance. He could look at the problem from Yu Zifeng's perspective and Mu Qingyun's perspective respectively. By changing the perspective, he could easily see where the problem was. With a little guidance, Mu Qingyun was not too stupid, and the long sword in her hand always stayed with her, so it was easy for her to be enlightened. It was definitely not a coincidence that Mu Qingyun was able to obtain the sword servant. such a heaven-defying treasure. The treasure of the sword god would never fall into the hands of a fool. Now everything proved Long Chen's guess. Well, now I finally have a qualified bodyguard. Seeing Mu Qingyun's radiant face, Long Chen couldn't help but smile. Mu Qingyun also smiled, very happily. Being able to become the bodyguard of the first person of the young generation of the human race will be the greatest honor of my life. After laughing, Mu Qingyun asked, "Third brother, should I continue to practice sword drawing, or practice sword control, or start to try to control the sword servant?" Long Chen shook his head and said, "I will not give you any advice in this aspect of practice in the future." "Why?" Mu Qingyun was stunned. The previous advice was enlightenment. After this stage I can no longer guide you, because my guidance will affect you, and in the future your swordsmanship will likely have my shadow, which will be lingering and become a flaw, and you will never be able to enter the realm of flawless sword heart. Besides, you have already found a teacher. Why do you still ask me? Long Chen looked at the long sword in Mu Qingyun's hand and said. Mu Qingyun looked at the long sword in her hand. The long sword trembled slightly, and the sword spirit surged, as if responding to Mu Qingyun. A smile appeared on the corner of Mu Qingyun's mouth. She had never seen the future road so clearly as today, and she would never be confused again. Boom! A flash of lightning whizzed away in the distant sky, tearing a crack in the void, like a lightning dragon, flashing and disappearing. The lightning was too fast and too far away. It disappeared just after it was seen, and it was impossible to see what it was. What a terrifying speed! Faster than the previous behemoth. Mu Qingyun said in surprise. That's a person. At this moment, Lei Linger's figure appeared beside Long Chen. Looking at the place where the lightning flashed in the distance, her eyes were full of shock. Lei Linger is a thunder spirit body, and is most sensitive to thunder. Long Chen and Mu Qingyun didn't see it clearly, but she clearly felt it. Breaking through the air with the power of the flesh? This person's flesh power is very strong. Long Chen was also slightly surprised. From Lei Linger's description, it was a man who broke through the air with brute force and broke through the void. Moreover, Lei Linger also told the two that it was a controller of thunder power. Although he was not a thunder spirit, the thunder he controlled was more vast and more powerful than Lei Linger. Since a human is not a spirit, how can a flesh and blood body withstand such a huge thunder power? Mu Qingyun was a little unbelievable. Although there are many thunder practitioners in the human race, they all win over quantity with quality and win over complexity with refinement, because the power that the human body can carry is limited, so they have to take the route of specialization. Therefore, in terms of thunder practice, the human race has a natural disadvantage. Compared with those monsters, and creatures with huge bodies, the advantage is too obvious. The huge body can store 100, 1,000, or even 10,000 times the thunder power of the human race. The energy stored by demon beasts is far inferior to that of spirits. Spirits like Lei Linger and Hualinger often have their original power thousands of times that of other thunder beasts and fire beasts. Now a human race has more and stronger thunder power than Lei Linger. Even Long Chen felt a chill in his heart. Now it looks like there will be a lot of fun. However, facing such a powerful existence, Long Chen became more and more excited. To advance to the 977th Emperor Flame, he needs a big battle to consolidate his realm and see what level of strength he has reached. Speed up! Long Chen looked ahead, his fighting spirit burning. He wanted to become stronger and must not miss any opportunity. The giant sword broke through the air, carrying Long Chen and Mu Qingyun and flying forward rapidly. Long Chen looked at the mountains under his feet, and his eyes gradually became sharp. Third brother, have you found anything? Mu Qingyun asked. The veins on the ground are different. According to Mo Nian, this trend means that something incredible is buried ahead. Although Long Chen did not understand the feng shui veins, he had been with Mo Nian for so long, and Mo Nian liked to show off his knowledge when he had nothing to do. Long Chen could more or less see that something was wrong. Boom! Suddenly, a light spot whizzed in front of him. Mu Qingyun was about to swing his sword to cut it, but Long Chun heard Kuan Ding's exclamation in his mind. Pa! Long Chun hurriedly took the first step and grabbed the thing. When he took a look, he found that it was a crystal stone the size of a baby's fist. The crystal stone was as warm as jade. There was a ball of light in the almost completely transparent crystal stone, which was flickering rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Every time it flashed, Long Chun felt an invisible ripple spreading from it as the center. When the ripples passed by, people felt as if they were bathing in the laws of heaven, and their whole body was relaxed. Senior, what is this? Long Chen's heart was beating wildly. This must be something extraordinary. This is a Tao crystal. Contains the origin of heaven. It is the most precious thing in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It is a must-have treasure for the cultivation of the God Emperor. Chen Kuan-Ding said. A must-have for the cultivation of the God Emperor? Long Chun was shocked. How could such a treasure fly around in the air and be delivered directly to him? Boom, boom. At this moment, the sky and the earth in front of him roared, and ripples rose like stormy waves, distorting the world. It seems that a treasure has really been born, and it's just in time. Long Chun held the Tao crystal and said excitedly. He finally caught up with this wave. Strange. Suddenly, Chen Kuan-Ding muttered, why is there so little Tao source in this crystal? It seems to have been used by someone. Senior, is this Tao crystal useful to you? Long Chun asked hurriedly. If it is a complete Tao crystal, it will be of great help to my recovery, but the energy of this Tao crystal has been consumed too much, and the essence has disappeared, so it is of no use to me. However, even so, the fluctuation of the Tao source in the Tao crystal will still be of great help to your enlightenment in the future. Chen Kuan-Ding said. Enlightenment? Enlightenment of what Tao? Long Chun was stunned. You will understand when the time comes. Go and have a look, lest the treasure be taken away by others. Kuan-Ding didn't say much. Long Chun didn't ask much, and stood at the front of the giant sword with Mu Qingyun, facing the boundless air waves, and moved forward rapidly. Suddenly, a terrifying aura appeared in front of them, and a group of creatures from outside the domain appeared. There were hundreds of creatures in this group. Although there were not many people, they were all masters. The weakest one also had 990 imperial flames. The leader had red hair and blood-colored wings on his back. Blood-colored imperial flames were circling. He was actually a strong man with 997 imperial flames. The route that Long Chun was taking actually overlapped with that of this group of outsiders. When Long Chun discovered them, they also discovered Long Chun. At first, when they saw that there were only 2 human beings, someone wanted to attack. But when they saw Long Chen's face clearly, the strong man with 997 imperial flames had a grim smile on his face. Ha! He suddenly stopped moving forward and rushed towards Long Chun in a flash. The blood-colored imperial flames burned and dyed the heavens red. Humble human race, prepare to die! The creature from outside the domain shouted loudly, and rushed to the front of the giant sword, tearing the void with a punch. The terrifying power of the imperial flame wanted to blow up the world. Clang! The sword sounded, like a dragon's roar, and the divine light flashed in the void. The violent breath of the creature from outside the domain was cut off in an instant, and the terrifying fluctuations also disappeared. Puff! The moment the long sword returned to the sheath, the body of the creature from outside the domain was instantly split apart, and was actually cut into 2 pieces by Mu Qingyun's sword, killing him with one blow. Seeing this scene, Long Chun nodded slightly. With Mu Qingyun's current strength, it was not difficult to kill this person. What is rare is that Mu Qingyun's swordsmanship has made a qualitative leap. This sword that simplifies the complex has almost no flaws, whether it is the timing, angle, or prediction of the enemy's movements. What made Long Chun most pleased was that when Mu Qingyun slashed out with her sword, she controlled people with the sword, not people controlling the sword. The sword was the main thing, and the Emperor Flame was the auxiliary. It was completely opposite to the past. This marked that her sword path had taken another big step forward. In the past, Mu Qingyun was too concerned about the power of the Emperor Flame, but she didn't know that the more she relied on the Emperor Flame, the further away from the sword path she was. The group of creatures saw their leader being killed by a sword, and they hadn't recovered from the shock, and Mu Qingyun's figure had already appeared beside them. Puff, puff, puff. Mu Qingyun unsheathed his long sword and slashed it horizontally. A crescent-shaped sword energy spread rapidly and burst out from the crowd. In the splash of blood, everyone was cut in half. The sharp sword energy cut off their flesh, and the sharp sword will destroyed their souls. After a sword, everyone was destroyed. Clang! The long sword returned to the sheath, and Mu Qingyun returned to the original position, with excitement on her face. Through Long Chen's guidance, she entered a higher realm and saw a wider sky. Hoo! A vine shot out, collecting all the corpses into the chaotic space, and sucked away the blood mist between heaven and earth. The bloody air in the air seemed to be purified, as if nothing had happened. It must be said that Gigi's cleaning method is becoming more and more skilled. What a sharp sword intent. I will meet you in person later. At this time, a low roar came from the distance on the left. The roar was hoarse, but it was like thunder, captivating, not like a human voice, but more like the roar of a demon. Obviously, the fluctuations of Mu Qingyun's attack have been captured by someone, and from the tone, the owner of the voice seems to have some origins with this group of creatures outside the domain. Then you'd better wash your neck in advance. Mu Qingyun was still immersed in excitement and was too lazy to talk nonsense with that person, but Long Chen couldn't help but respond. Ignorant fool. I'll let you see in a while how terrifying the great rock demon clan is. Long Chen's words immediately angered the owner of the voice, and the roar sounded instantly. No wonder the voice was so hoarse and unpleasant. Turned out to be the rock demon clan. Long Chen was too lazy to talk nonsense to the creatures with stone heads and continued to move forward. The further he moved forward, the more intense the strong wind became. Mu Qingyun's speed began to slow down. Whoosh! Another stream of light shot out. Long Chen's heart moved, and his figure flashed, catching the stream of light. Sure enough, it was another piece of Dao crystal. Damn it! Hand over my Dao crystal! Long Chen had just caught the Dao crystal when the previous roar reappeared, and then a huge figure, like a meteor, slammed into Long Chen and the others. A rock giant covered with crystals came over. It was the creature who had provoked Mu Qingyun before, claiming to be from the Rock Demon clan. This person was 3 feet tall, and his body was covered with crystals, like a crystal armor, flashing with divine light, and his arrogance was overwhelming. 998 imperial flames were entangled around him. Before he arrived, the terrifying power of the domain had already unfolded, locking the two of them firmly. If it was before, facing such a terrifying strong man, Mu Qingyun would inevitably panic, but now, facing the most powerful enemy, she can remain calm, because the long sword in her hand will give her endless confidence. The giant of the Rock Demon clan came to kill. Mu Qingyun drew her long sword, and the sword energy was surging. What can a small sword energy do to me? The giant of the Rock Demon clan sneered. Facing the sword, his arms suddenly closed in front of him. Boom! The indestructible sword energy slashed on the arms of the giant of the Rock Demon clan, and a shocking sound broke out. Sparks flew, and the giant of the Rock Demon clan trembled violently. He was actually pushed back several steps by the sword energy. And on his rock arms, 2 deep sword marks were cut by the sword energy. What a terrifying defense! Mu Qingyun's heart trembled. The giant of the Rock Demon clan was shocked and angry. The talents of his Rock Demon clan were strength and defense, especially defense, which was invincible. Even if the ordinary divine weapon was cut on his body, he could resist it. But Mu Qingyun's sword energy actually cut 2 sword marks on his arms, half a foot deep. He had killed a strong man with a divine weapon, but even if the opponent hit him with all his strength, He could not cause such terrible destructive power. "You idiot of the human race, you dare to challenge me?" The giant of the rock demon clan suppressed the shock in his heart, and the void under his feet exploded, and he rushed to Mu Qingyun in an instant. Although his body was huge, his speed was very fast. He turned around and punched in the air, heading straight for Mu Qingyun's face. Mu Qingyun's thin body formed a sharp contrast with the rock demon's strong man. She looked so weak that it seemed as if the rock demon could blow her away with one breath. Ling Yun slash. Facing the attack of the rock demon's strong man, Mu Qingyun shouted, and the long sword spun in the air, slashing out in an extremely mysterious arc. Bang! The long sword slashed on the rock demon's fist, and the small long sword actually burst out with shocking power. The rock demon's fist exploded, and the whole person was blown away. How is this possible? Die! The rock demon was injured, which made him even more angry. His imperial flames glowed all over his body, and his broken fist was born again. The imperial flames burned wildly, and his breath surged rapidly. Sword control technique, fast. However, this time Mu Qingyun took the initiative to attack. She held the sword formula in her left hand and slashed with the long sword in her right hand. Swish, swish, swish. Flying swords shot out one after another, shooting towards the rock demon giant. Boom, boom, boom. The rock demon giant was slashed by flying swords continuously. Each flying sword contained the power to destroy the world, and the attacks were so dense that he could only resist frantically for a while. As a result, the flying swords were constantly bounced away, spun in the void, and fell again. Boom, boom, boom. Mu Qingyun's face was a little pale, and the sword gestures in her left hand kept changing. As her sword gestures changed, the flying sword became more and more agile and powerful. The giant of the rock demon clan was constantly slashed by the flying swords and kept retreating. He could only defend himself but had no power to fight back. At this time, Mu Qingyun's face was slightly pale. She was injured in the previous hard fight. The opponent was too strong. If she fought hard at close range, she would be at a disadvantage. Long Chun said nothing from beginning to end. Experience is something that cannot be taught. It can only be accumulated by oneself. Only when you hit a snag will you learn a lesson. However, Mu Qingyun was smart. After being injured, if she did not adjust her state and continued to fight hard, it would only make the injury worse. So, she used the sword control technique to force the opponent back and give herself a chance to breathe. The sword control technique is an advanced mental method among sword cultivators, but it is not a top mental method. As long as a sword cultivator with a certain talent reaches a certain level of strength, he will practice the sword control technique. However, the sword control technique is all-encompassing and has many schools. The speed character formula in Mu Qingyun's sword control technique was learned from the sword servant. Originally, Mu Qingyun only comprehended the fur, but was already frightened by its amazing destructive power, and even demonstrated it to Long Chun. After watching it, Long Chun did not say anything, neither praising nor belittling, which made Mu Qingyun feel very uncomfortable at the time. Later, after Long Chen's instruction and practicing the sword drawing technique, she finally realized the true meaning of the sword, and her sword controlling technique also improved. Originally, when her fast character technique was deployed, she could cut 16 swords in a blink of an eye, and she was already very excited at that time. But now, when the fast character technique was deployed, she could cut more than 100 swords in a blink of an eye. Even the strong men of the Rock Demon clan were temporarily controlled and had no ability to resist. Ah! The strong man of the Rock Demon clan was chopped back and forth, and suddenly he let out a shocking roar, and the Emperor Flame burned wildly. The void behind him exploded, and a giant covering the sky appeared. The Rock Demon giant was not only forced to burn the Emperor Flame, but also summoned a strange phenomenon. As soon as the giant's phantom appeared, a dark, corrupt, and bloodthirsty aura radiated, as if the demon god of the chaotic era was summoned. Boom! The void exploded, sword shadows flew, and Mu Qingyun's flying sword was directly shaken away by the breath of the rock demon giant. "Human woman, die!" The rock demon giant roared with boundless killing intent. He didn't expect that a human woman who looked so weak could make him so embarrassed. The rock demon giant spread his arms, and the phantom in the vision behind him was also doing the same action. But the giant was already standing upright, and the moment he spread his arms, the whole world was squeezed by the terrifying force and began to distort. Clang! Mu Qingyun put the sword back into the sheath, bent one knee slightly, leaned his body slightly, and was ready to draw the sword. At this time, the scabbard kept trembling, and the murderous aura between heaven and earth was being rapidly absorbed by the scabbard. It was accumulating power crazily. Once this sword is unsheathed, it will surely be a shocking blow, full of unstoppable momentum. If it fails, it will die. Boom! However, just as the two were preparing to fight each other with all their strength, a loud noise came from afar, followed by a vast pressure that swept across the heavens. However, the moment the pressure radiated, the strong wind in the sky disappeared instantly, and then the earth trembled, as if something was about to break out of the ground. The strong man of the Rock Demon clan looked into the distance and suddenly gritted his teeth. "Damn human race! I will let you live for a while. Later, I will crush you to pieces." Ha! The strong man of the Rock Demon clan actually stopped the strange vision and whistled away into the distance. "Follow me." The giant sword shot out and carried the two people to chase forward. Boom, boom. The heaven and earth trembled, the void in front exploded, and colorful fairy light gushed out. "Is this the breath of the great Tao?" Long Chun was shocked. From the fairy light that erupted, Long Chun felt the same breath as the Tao crystal. "Good stuff, it's useful to me." Long Guxieyu shouted. "Senior, what exactly is that fairy light? Why does it have the breath of the great Tao and also have evil will?" Long Chun asked Kuan-Ding for advice. "This aura of the great Tao is not the true origin of the great Tao, but is artificially created. He can extract the dragon veins of the entire Tianji Ridge and attract the energy after the death of countless strong men to this place. This person is very powerful. Even in the chaotic era, he is a giant. Long Chun, you have to be careful. It feels like this is very likely a magic array for nurturing demon fetuses. If it is true, then there must be a demon fetus nurtured in it," Kuan-Ding said in a somewhat solemn voice. "If it is a demon fetus, we must capture it and never let it be born. It is best to kill it in the womb." Long Chen's heart trembled. Even Kuan-Ding was so moved. The things hidden here must be extraordinary. Who? Another Tao crystal shot out and was sucked in by Long Chen. Sure enough, it was another Tao crystal with huge loss. Could it be? Yes. Someone should use the Tao crystal to set up the heaven-stealing array to draw the energy of the entire Tianji Ridge here to nourish the demon fetus in the array. Kuan-Ding responded. Now that the Tao crystals are flying around, the energy is beginning to spread. It should be that the demon fetus nourished by the array has matured and is about to break out of the array. Qing Yun, take your time. I'll go first. Long Chun shouted, and a nebula appeared under his feet. It flashed and disappeared in an instant. The speed of the flying sword was incomparable to the nebula step. Now Mu Qingyun is no longer the Mu Qingyun of the past. She has enough self-protection ability. Long Chun does not need to worry about her safety. Who? Long Chen's figure flashed continuously, and soon Long Chun saw a huge basin in front of him. The basin was so huge that Long Chun could only barely see the edge of the other side when he appeared here. In the center of the huge basin, there seemed to be an altar, but the space was constantly twisting and the laws of the avenue were intertwined, so he couldn't see the situation inside. Ha! At this moment, a huge figure appeared in front of him. It was the giant of the Rock Demon clan. This person took a step ahead, but was still caught up by Long Chun. He also sensed Long Chun for the first time. Seeing Long Chun catch up, a hideous smile suddenly appeared on his face. When Long Chun saw the giant of the Rock Demon clan, a smile also appeared on his face. Although this smile was not hideous, it was a little creepy. Die! The giant of the Rock Demon clan made a move, and the moment he made a move, Long Chun had already arrived in front of him. His right hand was covered with purple dragon scales. A cross symbol appeared, and the Emperor's flames were surging. The big hand was swung and slapped the face of the Rock Demon clan strongman. Long Chen's speed was extremely fast, and this move was his special move. The Rock Demon giant was clumsy, and before he could understand what was happening, Long Chun slapped him hard on the face. With a loud bang, the Rock Demon giant's face was half blown up by Long Chun. The Rock Demon giant let out a shrill scream and flew backwards. What a strong defense! Long Chun succeeded in his attack, but he couldn't help but be secretly surprised. This Rock Demon clan has something. He didn't hold back at all in this attack, and he didn't even manage to blow up his head. If Long Chun took advantage of the victory and pursued him, he could kill him in a few moves. However, Long Chun ignored him, and his nebula steps trembled, and he rushed straight to the direction of the altar. Although this person is not weak, he can't threaten Long Chun at all. Business matters are more important. Ha! Long Chun rushed to the altar quickly. Boom! As Long Chun approached the altar, a loud roar came from the twisted space, and a terrifying aura emerged. Obviously, someone had entered the altar first, but this was also expected. Buzz! Suddenly, a light curtain appeared in front of Long Chun. When Long Chun passed through the light curtain, he could see the true face of the fear. This altar is huge with a radius of millions of miles. However, looking down from the sky, there is nothing else on the huge altar except a pair of huge black wings. On the huge wings there are endless divine pictures drawn, and you can even see that there are small array plates on the divine pictures. Some array plates have collapsed, and in the center of some array plates you can see Tao crystals inlaid. There are tens of thousands of array plates on the huge wings. When seeing this handwriting, even Long Chun couldn't help but take a breath. Boom, boom. The altar was shaking. There was a dark star where the two wings met. In the dark star, there was a faint divine light flashing. As the divine light flashed, a piercing sonic boom resounded through the world. Endless energy gushed out, and the divine light and the fairy mist intertwined, blooming a scene that made people's scalps numb. Those are all good things, Longu Sheue shouted excitedly. Long Chun, this altar should have been destroyed by someone, causing the gathered avenue energy to leak. Let's go directly to the altar to avoid conflict with others. Absorbing the avenue energy is important, Chen Qinding also said excitedly. Long Chun nodded. He originally wanted to rush directly to the center of the altar to see what was in the black star. But after hearing Chen Qinding's words, he gave up his original idea. At this time, there were already many creatures on the altar that had opened up their domains and were absorbing the avenue energy. In front of Long Chun, an evil creature with black air all over its body was absorbing the avenue energy. However, when it sensed Long Chun's arrival, it immediately shouted coldly, "Stupid human race, if you dare to get close, I will kill you without mercy." As the man shouted, the imperial flames around him ignited, and 997 imperial flames flickered, which was a warning to Long Chun. However, just as he opened the imperial flames, Long Chun had already reached him. In fact, even if he didn't open the imperial flames, Long Chun knew how strong he was. Die! The evil creature roared. Puff! It was indeed dead. Its head was smashed by Long Chun's slap, and its body was pulled into the chaotic space by Gigi. Buzz! Before Long Chun could make any move, Chen Qinding and Longu Sheue moved at the same time, and endless blood-colored petals flew, blocking the space within a radius of tens of thousands of miles. Chen Qinding fell on the altar, glowing all over, and ripples appeared under it, some of which were spreading outwards, and some were shrinking inwards. Long Chun took a quick look and understood that the power of the altar could not be directly absorbed by Chen Qinding, and most of it needed to be filtered out. The dragon bone evil moon petals were flying, but it did not refuse anything and devoured them crazily. Soon, a huge vortex formed at the place where Long Chun was. Long Chun, you should not be idle. Lead the avenue energy into the Emperor Flame. Use the Emperor Flame fire to extract its essence and remove its dross. The avenue energy will make your body reach a higher level. Chen Ding said. Okay. After Chen Ding's reminder, Long Chun sat cross-legged in the void, forming seals with his hands. An endless avenue energy instantly rushed towards Long Chun. Long Chun, absorb the aura of the Great Tao and sense it carefully. Although the aura of the Great Tao is turbid, if you sense it carefully, you will still sense the fluctuations of the origin of the Great Tao. You have always wanted to ask, what is the Tao? It will give you the answer. Ding's voice sounded in Long Chen's mind. Long Chen nodded. Cultivating the Tao, understanding the Tao, practicing the Tao, and proving the Tao. The most ridiculous thing is that no one in this world can explain the Tao clearly. Now the opportunity has come. Absorbing the aura of the Great Tao and feeling the origin of the Great Tao is the closest time for Long Chun to the Tao. Human race, get out of the way. However, just when Long Chun was about to understand the Tao, a roar came, and I don't know which blind guy came to kill him. Perhaps he felt that Long Chen's aura was not strong. So he gave up competing for position with other strong men and killed Long Chun directly. Get out of here. However, before Long Chun could make a move, endless blood-colored petals flew around, wrapped the man, and instantly crushed him into a bloody mist. Long Chun, you can practice with peace of mind. Leave those blind guys to me. Longu Shewa's voice was full of bloody murderous intent. Long Chun was slightly startled. How could a small sneak attacker suddenly make Longu Shewa burst out with such a terrifying killing intent? Could it be that the aura of the Great Tao amplified Longu Shewa's emotions? However, this was not the time to think about these things. Long Chun summoned the 8-colored divine ring, and the aura of the Great Tao between heaven and earth surged towards Long Chun like a tide. Long Chun was wrapped in fairy mist, and strange energy poured into his body. Long Chun was suddenly shocked. How can this fairy mist contain so many impurities? The energy in this fairy mist was amazing. As soon as it entered Long Chen's body, the Emperor Flame in his blood began to cheer and absorb it crazily. However, Long Chun was shocked to find that the originally pure Emperor Flame was actually infected with various impurities, and the essence and dregs coexisted. When absorbing the essence, the dregs were also absorbed, and it was impossible to remove them. Long Chun thought Ding would explain, but Ding did not speak. It was quietly absorbing the power of heaven and earth, and seemed to have entered a state of meditation. Long Chen's heart moved. Could this be the origin of the Great Tao? The pure and the turbid mixed together, the essence and the dregs coexisting? Long Chun took a deep breath. Since Ding asked him to absorb it, he didn't think too much about it. He quietly felt the fluctuations of the aura of the Great Tao. The aura of the Great Tao entered Long Chen's body, and Long Chen's imperial flame began to burn, madly absorbing those energies to strengthen himself. At the same time, a brand new imperial flame began to condense. Before, Long Chen's imperial flames were all taken from the Dragon Clan's strongmen. This was the first time that he condensed the imperial flames with his own strength. The 978th imperial flame was generated. Before, Long Chen's imperial flames were pure and flawless. However, now the imperial flames are like pure lotus flowers that have been contaminated by sewage, with more violent, bloodthirsty, dark and chaotic energy. If it weren't for Ding's reminder, Long Chun would have stopped his actions at this time and dared not absorb the aura of the Great Tao anymore. This thing is simply poisonous. At this time, Long Chun completely ignored the pollution of the aura of the Great Tao to himself, and quietly felt the fluctuations of the aura of the Great Tao. Long Chen's body was like a well. The water in the well was originally pure, but now it was backflowed by the turbid flood. However, Long Chen's body, far from rejecting the dirty flood, cheered excitedly. Long Chun could feel that with the infusion of the aura of the Great Tao, Long Chen's blood, meridians, tendons and bones were all polluted. However, after being polluted, the body became even stronger, but this strength made Long Chen a little uneasy. Especially the dark, bloodthirsty, violent energy reminded him of Long Chen in white, which made him even more uneasy. However, while Long Chen was uneasy, in another world, Long Chen in white was sitting cross-legged on the sea of blood, his eyes closed, as if he had entered a state of meditation. Above, the sea of blood, the sky was blood-red. Behind Long Chen in white, where the sea and the sky met, was a huge throne. The throne was made up of endless dry bones, exuding a fierce aura, with blood-colored flames burning. The burning flames were like endless evil spirits whimpering, which was daunting. Long Chen in white seemed to be affected by something, and slowly opened his eyes. His completely black eyes were like a black hole, wanting to devour the universe. "Stupid guy, did you sense it?" A sinister smile appeared on the corner of the mouth of Long Chen in white clothes. "That power originally belongs to me. Can you stop it?" Buzz, buzz, buzz. Long Chen's body glowed, and the imperial flames condensed one after another. In just one stick of incense, the imperial flames had increased from 977 to 993. Ha! Long Chen stopped absorbing the aura of the Great Tao. This aura of the Great Tao was too terrible. It actually made him feel that his power was about to be unbalanced and about to be out of control, so he had to stop. Long Chen looked behind him, and Kuan Ding still stood there quietly, motionless. The billions of petals of the dragon bone evil moon incarnation on the periphery were constantly trembling, still sucking the aura of the Great Tao crazily. "Senior." Long Chen looked at Kuan Ding and said. But Kuan Ding spoke first. "The Tao can be spoken, but it can't be spoken. Those who can be spoken are not the true Tao. Understand it yourself and don't seek the same Tao with others. If you understand, you understand. If you don't understand, you don't understand. Don't ask others for confirmation." After absorbing the energy of the Great Tao, Long Chen felt that his body had become much stronger, and the Emperor Flame had even increased to 993 Tao. But this power made him feel panic and uneasy. But Kuan Ding didn't allow him to say it out loud, so he could only understand it by himself. Looking at Kuan Ding's quiet appearance, and then looking at the picture of the dragon bone evil moon like a whale sucking water, Long Chen seemed to understand. The opposite is the movement of the Tao. The extreme stillness is vivid, and the extreme movement is stillness. The extreme clarity gives rise to turbidity, and the extreme turbidity gives rise to clarity. Long Chen felt the energy in his body and began to mutter to himself. At the same time, he remembered the voice of the 5 emperors when he fought against Tianping. The clear is the source of turbidity, and the moving is the basis of stillness. At that moment, Long Chen's mind was extremely clear, and he recalled that he had been practicing all the way, purifying his body and pursuing the ultimate purity. However, he did not expect that the essence of Taoism is the mixture of clear and turbid, and the coexistence of movement and stillness. He has practiced to the current level and understood the mystery. Man follows the earth follows the sky follows the Tao, and the Tao follows nature. It turns out that the pinnacle of practice is here. Ha 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 ha. At that moment, Long Chen laughed loudly. He didn't know if this was the real Tao, but he saw his own Tao clearly. At that moment, Long Chen was reborn and no longer worried about gains and losses. It was as if he had unloaded all his burdens and was completely free. In the laughter, there was the might of dragon roars and tiger roars. The whole altar trembled in Long Chen's laughter. Damn human race! Dare to make me realize the Tao, die! In Long Chen's laughter, a roar came, and a big hand pierced through the void and rushed to Long Chen to grab it. Long Chen's laughter shook the entire arena, and countless practitioners were disturbed. Originally, this place was extremely chaotic, with 9-day strongmen and outsiders, but how precious is the aura of the Great Tao. In the face of this heaven-defying opportunity, everyone was busy absorbing the aura of the Great Tao, absorbing as much as they could. But after absorbing it, countless people were shocked and angry. The aura of the great Tao entering their bodies would destroy their physical balance, making them restless and extremely uncomfortable. They only wanted to absorb the essence, but that was impossible, so they could only absorb it all at once. After absorbing a certain amount, they found that their bodies had not reached their limits, but they could not absorb more aura of the great Tao. After forcibly absorbing it, the aura of the great Tao originally stored in the body would leak out, and no matter how hard they tried, they could not change it. At this time, Long Chun laughed arrogantly, as if he was mocking others, and even more like showing off. Bang! A big hand pierced through the void, and a creature with wings on its back, with claws like hooks, was in front of Long Chun in an instant, and its speed was extremely fast. Snap! The hook-like claws were still 3 inches away from Long Chen's face when they were firmly grasped by Long Chen's big hand, unable to move. The creature finally saw Long Chen's face at this time, and his pupils shrank immediately. Obviously, he recognized Long Chen's identity. Most of his anger was extinguished immediately. He instinctively realized that something was wrong. The moment he was caught, he kicked Long Chen hard, trying to force Long Chen to let go. It's just 997 Emperor Flames. What gives you the confidence to yell at Master Long San? Long Chen snorted coldly, swung his big hand, and ignored the man's moves. He threw the man to the ground like a chicken. With a puff sound, no one could have imagined that the altar was unusually hard and safe. But the man was smashed into a pulp by Long Chen, and a large area of demon blood splashed. Squeak! Gigi took action to clean up the battlefield, absorbing the blood and flesh that had infected the ring, and making a dissatisfied sound at the same time. Obviously, this killing method will increase the difficulty of its absorption. This power! Long Chun did not expect that such a terrifying power could burst out with a casual attack. This aura of the Great Tao is too magical. Although this aura of the Great Tao is powerful, it is not something you can control now. The reason why you feel full of power is that you have set too many shackles and burdens for yourself. Your strength has not increased, but you have thrown away the shackles and burdens. Now you are the real you, Chen Kuan-Ding said. Chen Kuan-Ding's voice was filled with relief and surprise. The human race is really a magical species. Once they have an epiphany, they are completely different. Cultivation is something that goes against the will of heaven. It requires strict self-discipline. In the process of cultivation, self-discipline and self-correction, many people have lost themselves and cannot find their true selves. Starting from the mortal world, practicing, gathering qi, coagulating blood, changing tendons, strengthening bones, and unblocking meridians, step by step, the acquired turbid qi is eliminated. After advancing to the Xiantian realm, he pursued the perfection of his body and soul through the Pai Hai, Zhutai, Shendan, Huashan, Mingxing, Tongming, and Rongtian. He hoped that one day he could truly merge his body with the Tao. However, after truly integrating the energy of the Tao, Long Chun discovered that the essence of the Tao was tolerance, nature, omnipresence, and all-knowingness. In the moment of enlightenment, Long Chun realized that the true Tao had nothing to do with the realm. It is not that the stronger one is the closer to the Tao, and the weaker one is the farther away from the Tao. The Tao is right beside him, not too far, not too close, not too far, not too close, not too distant. At that moment, Long Chen's heart opened up instantly. He didn't know if he had really realized the Tao, and he didn't care. He only knew that now, there was nothing that could restrain him. Damn human race! You are too arrogant. Long Chun had just killed the strong man from outside the domain, and another roar came. A giant axe of opening the sky turned into a flash of lightning and shot towards Long Chun. The giant axe was as big as a house, and the divine light flashed. It was spinning rapidly, cutting through the void, and the momentum was terrifying. Dragon Bone Evil Moon had already removed the blockade and began to absorb the energy of the Tao with all its strength. Long Chun no longer needed his protection, so it did not stop these people from taking action. Pa! The giant axe, with a whistling wind, was caught by Long Chun. A mocking look appeared on Long Chen's lips. "It's a child's toy. I'll give it back to you." "Who?" Long Chun waved his hand, and the giant axe flew out along the original route. "Ah!" Suddenly a scream came from that direction, and the man also imitated Long Chun to catch the axe with one hand, but his arm was directly shattered. Long Chun was a shady guy. The axe was injected with the power of the Emperor's flame, but it was condensed and not released, and it could not be seen from the outside. The owner of the giant axe was only a temporary owner and had no ability to refine it. He had no idea that the axe contained a terrifying power. Puff! Long Chen's figure flashed, and he was already in front of the man. He pointed out a finger and instantly pierced the man's head. Another strong man with 997 Emperor flames. Long Chun couldn't help shaking his head. The strength of these guys increased too fast, but their perception was still standing still. Otherwise, they would not provoke him. Before absorbing the aura of the great Tao, Long Chun had already looked down upon the strong man with 997 imperial flames. Let alone now? At this moment, Long Chun felt extremely relaxed from his body to his soul, as if a caged bird that had been imprisoned could finally spread its wings and fly high. In the past, Long Chun could not understand why his strength was getting stronger and stronger, but his courage seemed to be getting smaller and smaller. Now he understood that it was all a self-inflicted trap. In the past, Long Chun tried to break free countless times, but he could not persuade others, and a doctor could not heal himself, so he could only struggle hard on his own. He was like a person wearing clean clothes, afraid of getting a little stain. After absorbing the aura of the great Tao, Long Chun seemed to have fallen into a quagmire, and was already covered in mud. He was no longer afraid of stains. People themselves are a mixture of clear and turbid, and yin and yang coexist. Why should you embarrass yourself? When the third master arrives, the earth roars and the sky howls. When the third master leaves, ghosts weep and gods weep. All the demons in the chaos realm tremble at the feet of your third master, Long San. Long Chun raised his arms, and a wave of air spread rapidly with Long Chun as the center. The roaring sound resounded through the universe. Some strong men who were absorbing the aura of the great Tao not far from Long Chun were blown away by the terrifying gale. Their strength was not enough to compete with Long Chun. Facing such an enemy, Long Chun was too lazy to kill them, because the guy in the center of the altar was his target. Bang, bang, bang. Long Chun walked towards the center of the altar step by step. Every time he took a step, the altar trembled violently. As Long Chun moved forward, a series of terrifying auras in front of him erupted like a volcano. Damn you, you are from the Nine Heavens world, you broke into the altar of my dark clan, stole the aura of the great Tao, and dared to be so arrogant. Do you really think that my dark clan is easy to bully? Roaring like thunder, a huge figure appeared in front of Long Chun like a mountain. A giant with black air all over his body, holding a war hammer, appeared in front of Long Chun. The black imperial flame was burning, and the endless dark aura enveloped the world. This is a powerful creature with 998 imperial flames burning on his body, but its breath is ancient and deep, and it seems to be even better than that of the dragon of the same level. Dark Clan? You are not qualified to shout in front of Master Long San. Kneel down. Long Chun snorted coldly, stepped forward suddenly. The sound of dragon roars resounded through the sky, and 993 imperial flames bloomed. At that moment, the void solidified, thousands of roads collapsed, and an unstoppable force pressed towards the giant. At this moment, Long Chun was like a war god of chaos. The imperial flames around him, set off by the aura of the great Tao, were like the flames of chaos. All living beings could only worship him. Long Chen's shout was accompanied by the supreme will, and it seemed that even the gods and demons in the heavens did not dare to disobey. Boom! The creature of the Dark Clan trembled violently, and was actually overwhelmed by Long Chen's momentum. His knees slammed hard on the altar, and a thunderous roar broke out. Damn! The creature of the Dark Clan was shocked and angry. Long Chen's shout made its soul tremble, and the vast pressure took the opportunity to attack, causing it to be pressed down. Although Long Chen's pressure was amazing, if it were not for the soul attack, it would not be directly pressed to kneel. Boom, boom, boom. The creature of the Dark Clan was forced to kneel on the ground, and wanted to struggle to stand up. Its muscles bulged all over its body, and it exerted crazy strength, but it couldn't stand up. This is like a person who can carry a load of 200 kilograms, but once it is crushed by the load, it is almost impossible to lift it up again. The lower its body is pressed, the more terrifying the pressure will be. Crack, crack, crack. The creature of the dark race grabbed the ground with both hands and tried to support itself. The altar was crackling under its claws. Its whole body was shaking constantly. It used its strength to the extreme, but it couldn't get up at all. Tap, tap, tap. Long Chen walked towards it step by step. The footsteps were like thunder, reaching everyone's ears. On this altar, the space kept twisting, hiding countless strong men. But at this moment, everyone was stunned by the scene before them. The peerless strong man with 998 imperial flames was actually suppressed and unable to move in front of this human race. There were many breaths bursting out before, and they wanted to kill this arrogant human race, but they were one step slower than him. However, it was this step that made them feel a little lucky. If they had acted a step faster, they would have been the ones kneeling on the ground. Boom! There was a sudden loud noise, and the head of the creature of the Dark Clan, which had been trying to raise, fell heavily to the ground because a foot stepped on it. Ah! The creature of the Dark Clan roared madly, but his mouth was pressed to the ground, and the sound was extremely dull, which made people uncomfortable to listen to. Damn human race! Kill if you want, you humiliate the great Dark Clan so much, you and your relatives will be killed by us sooner or later. The creature of the Dark Clan roared. Boom! There was another loud noise, and Long Chun stomped his foot slightly. The creature groaned in pain, and half of his face collapsed, like a pancake sticking to the ground of the altar, and blood stained the ground. Woo woo woo! The creature of the Dark Clan seemed to want to curse, but he couldn't curse anymore, and could only make a woo woo sound. The sound seemed to be wailing and choking. Buzz! At this moment, a big hole appeared in the direction of the feet, hands, and head of the dark creature. In the big hole, vines as thick as water tanks slowly stretched out like a python, and wrapped around the ankles, wrists, and neck of the dark creature. Ha! The 5 vines pulled hard, and the body of the dark creature was instantly off the ground and floated in the air. Ah! Long Chun removed the pressure, and the dark creature struggled frantically, but was firmly bound by the vines and could not move. The throat was tightened and could only make strange sounds. At this time, fear appeared in its eyes. He twisted his body desperately, but he could not break free from Gigi's blockade. Split! Long Chen's big hand snapped his fingers in the void. Puff, puff, puff. The body of the dark creature was instantly torn apart, and the body was dragged into 5 black holes and disappeared in the splashing blood. Countless people watched in secret, whether they were 9 heaven strong men or foreign evil demons. Their scalps were numb. Long Chun was too domineering. A strong man with 998 emperor flames didn't even have the qualifications to resist him. In other words, Long Chun at this moment must have the strength of 999 emperor flames. However, people clearly saw that there were only 993 emperor flames behind Long Chun. But how could he have such a terrifying power? Let's kill him together. The holy land of the Dark Clan is not the place for the human race to be arrogant. At this moment, a roar came from the depths of the altar, followed by a terrifying aura rising. At that moment, hundreds of figures rushed towards Long Chun at the same time. This time, they learned their lesson. No one was greedy for merit and rushed forward. Everyone faced Long Chun in a fan shape, and the distance was very far. Boom, boom. A series of divine lights shot out. This group of people did not dare to fight Long Chen head-on, and changed to long-range attacks, hoping to rely on the power of everyone to kill Long Chen together. Imperial Shield. Long Chen opened his hands and gently formed a seal. The violent dragon blood imperial flames around him instantly changed to purple imperial flames, and the power of dragon blood was converted into purple blood power. As Long Chen formed a seal, a huge purple shield flashing with the divine brilliance of imperial flames appeared in front of him. Boom, boom, boom. Countless divine lights fell on the purple shield, and as a result, the devastating attack was shattered, while the purple shield was just a ripple, and could not be shaken at all. Now I understand. I can be so strong. Long Chen looked at the ripples on the shield and couldn't help but sigh. You are actually more powerful than you can imagine. Otherwise I would not recognize you as my master. Long Chen, you must remember that the most powerful part of the human race is your heart. Unfortunately, the emotions of the human race are too complicated. You always like to put shackles on yourself, self-doubt, self-denial, and lose your way in self-correction. Now that you have completely understood, it is time to let the third Master Long, who is so powerful in the Tianwu continent, come back. Kuan Ding's voice was filled with endless relief. Okay, you see. Long Chen smiled, and the seal in his hand changed. The purple shield quickly enlarged and rushed forward. Boom! Amid endless exclamations, those strong men attacked frantically, and the divine weapons whistled and slashed fiercely on the Imperial Shield, which exploded. The Imperial Shield is a defensive magical power. Using it to attack will damage its instinct and cause a significant decrease in power, so it was chopped and exploded by everyone. However, before the group of people could be happy, the purple imperial flames around Long Chen burst into colorful divine light, and then people saw billions of colorful swords appearing behind Long Chen, with the sharp sword tips pointed at those creatures. Slash! Long Chen formed a seal with one hand, and countless swords shot out. Swish, swish, swish. Sharp swords rained down like rain, slicing through the sky, carrying the aura of slashing the sky, causing all the gods and demons to tremble. Just as Kuan Ding said, the fusion of the aura of the great Tao made Long Chen completely enlightened, and all the shackles of self-binding were opened. It was like a volcano that had accumulated power for billions of years, and it erupted completely. Even with the surging power, it was still able to be absolutely controlled. Even Long Chen could control the power, angle, and rhythm of each sword, and each sword seemed to be held by Long Chen himself. Boom, boom, boom. Endless swords came out, and the group of people resisted frantically. Most of these hundreds of strong men had 998 Emperor Flames, but they were killed in the raging torrent and sweated profusely. How is this possible? How can he be so strong? There were creatures from outside the domain roaring, still unable to believe what they saw. A guy with only 993 Emperor Flames could actually trap a group of strong men of their level. Each sword contained a deadly threat. As soon as the rain of swords began to pour down, some people were killed by several consecutive swords. Puff, puff, puff. Billions of swords were strangling back and forth in the air, penetrating every hole. Although this group of strong men had the magic weapon of the God Emperor, they were shocked to find that they could only chop dozens of swords into pieces with all their strength. And a few swords were just a drop in the bucket for those hundreds of millions of swords. At that moment, all of them panicked. Puff, puff, puff. People fell from time to time. The swords penetrated every hole. They saw that it was not good. Someone roared and called everyone together. Everyone stood back to back and resisted this terrifying sea of swords together. However, they were originally scattered, and they needed to move when they gathered, which led to distraction. One after another, the strong men fell directly on the road and were cut into pieces by the swords. When they gathered together, there were only more than 100 people left, out of the original 400 or 500. However, these more than 100 people were all strong men with 998 Emperor Flames. The blood of the creatures from other worlds infected a large area of the altar. Looking at the corpses of those powerful men and the ground stained with blood, Long Chen suddenly remembered the endless tombstones he saw on the Emperor Mountain. He stepped forward one step at a time, chanting in a deep voice. The way of heaven is destroyed. All laws are exhausted. But I am unwilling to die and feel uneasy. I feel uneasy. Wait for the next life. The sky will weep and slay the evil. Slay the evil. Step on the sky. And do whatever I want with my lonely shadow in the world. I will do whatever I want with Jinghong. Why fear going to the underworld together? Go to the underworld. Howl in the wind. The Hades Emperor kneeled down to listen. What Long Chun recited were the last words on the tombstones of the tombs. It was the ancestors of this group of evil creatures who brought about the 9 heavens catastrophe, stained the sky with blood of countless heroes, and left behind endless regrets and remorse. I, Long Chun, hate that I can live in the same era as you heroes, and I hate that you can't witness my style of slaughtering evil demons. I hope that the heroic spirits of the predecessors are not far away, and I can still hear their painful wails, smell their blood, and feel their fear and despair. Long Chen's black robe floated. His long hair fluttered, and he walked towards the trapped creatures from outside the domain step by step, his face full of cold murderous intent. After finding himself, Long Chun completely let go of his hands and feet. Today, he will first ask for some interest for the ancestors of Jotian, and use their blood to pay tribute to the heroic spirits of the ancestors. As Long Chun walked, there was another person beside him. Mu Qingyun came. She slowly followed Long Chun. At this time, her eyes became more and more determined and persistent. She had come to the altar a long time ago, but she did not meet with Long Chun, but found a place to absorb the aura of the avenue to comprehend the sword. Her breath has changed significantly and obviously, she has gained a lot. However, Mu Qingyun did not expect that Long Chun had changed even more. At this moment, Long Chun was radiant, full of sunshine and confidence. He was so calm as if he was a god in charge of the heavens and all the worlds. It seemed that there was nothing in the world that he could not do. Although they were on the altar, which was full of dangers, no one knew what dangers lay beneath the altar. However, standing next to Long Chun would make people put aside all their fears. Boom, boom, boom. The sword shadows were flying, shaking the universe. Even if the outsiders joined forces to resist, they were still overwhelmed. Their eyes were full of fear. Through the endless sword shadows, they saw Long Chun approaching step by step, as if the god of death was approaching, and it also indicated that their lives were about to end. Puff, puff, puff. If several strong men continued like this, they would be exhausted to death. They wanted to take the opportunity to break through, but as soon as they rushed out, they were chopped into pieces by the colorful swords. Lord Songlu, please listen to the call of your people and wake up. At that moment, these strong men roared in despair. While they were desperately resisting, they burned their souls, as if they were performing some kind of sacrifice. Boom, boom, boom. It seemed that their sacrifice had worked. The entire arena was shaking constantly, and an evil, cold, and dark breath was slowly rising. There is a terrifying existence under the altar. Mu Qingyun sensed it immediately, and her face changed slightly. The breath made her soul tremble, as if a peerless beast was sealed. No matter what kind of terrifying existence it is, as long as it comes out, I will beat it until it kneels down and calls me daddy. Long Chun walked slowly towards those strong men without stopping, not affected by the breath at all. At this time, the breaths on the altar disappeared rapidly. What disappointed Mu Qingyun was that she could sense that these breaths were all from the strong men of the 9 heavens world. These guys took advantage of the chaos to absorb the energy of the great Tao. Long Chun fought against the entire evil clan outside the domain with his own strength, but they stood by and watched. Now that the terrifying breath appeared, these people fled in an instant, which made her angry and sad. Are you fighting for them? Facing Mu Qingyun's anger, Long Chun smiled slightly. Mu Qingyun's original anger disappeared instantly. Yes, we fought to the death with the strong men outside the domain to protect our loved ones. What does their life and death have to do with us? Why am I angry when they escape? Damn human race. Lord Songlu is about to wake up, and what awaits you will be ruthless killing. Feeling the terrifying aura, the group of creatures from outside the domain suddenly felt hope and shouted arrogantly, "Boom!" At this moment, the indestructible altar began to crack, and a terrifying aura rose. A huge monster was slowly drilling out from under the altar. Mu Qingyun's face was solemn. He stretched out his hand to hold the hilt of the sword, concentrating his mind and calming his breath, ready to strike with all his strength at any time. Lord Songlu is about to be born. He is the son of the Lord of Darkness. In the chaotic era, he swept across the 9 heavens and killed countless 9 heavens strongmen. Long Chun, you just wait to die, an outsider shouted excitedly. Stop making a fuss. I wanted to let you live a little longer so that you can see how I deal with the guy you mentioned. Since you don't want to be an audience, then go and die. 7 absolute explosion flame. Long Chun shouted, and the seal in his hand changed. The colorful swords turned into flame petals and flew towards the group of strong men. Boom, boom, boom. The imperial flames exploded, and the ripples of the aura of the avenue spread and intertwined with each other, forming a death field that enveloped everyone. Puff, puff, puff. This group of out-of-domain strong men were directly crushed into blood mist by the intertwined ripples, and all were killed in an instant. Boom! At this moment, a giant egg emerged. The giant egg just appeared and exploded. The violent aura of the avenue swept across the heavens. A figure appeared in the center of the altar, and a black aura filled the air, as if the god of darkness had descended. The black-haired man had 2 horns on his head and was surrounded by black air, but he was wearing a white robe. The white robe and the black air formed a strong visual impact, giving people a feeling of wildness, domineering, and aloofness. The man had a cold face, as if he was a god looking down on the ages. When he appeared, time and space seemed to be still. When his eyes looked at Long Chun, Mu Qingyun was shocked to find that she seemed to be imprisoned by some law. Her every move seemed to be seen through by those eyes. At that moment, her hands couldn't help but tremble. He had never met such a terrible person. The man in white looked at Mu Qingyun, with a little surprise on his face. A female sword cultivator. Your strength is not bad. If you are willing to be my slave, I can consider sparing your life. The voice of the man in white, Songlu, was the same as his temperament, cold and aloof. The high-handed tone was as if the gods were talking to ants. Mu Qingyun tightly grasped the long sword in her hand, and beads of sweat were slowly flowing down her forehead. This man was too terrifying, and she almost collapsed under the pressure. If it weren't for the long sword in her hand, which gave her confidence and strength, she would have gone crazy. What was the origin of this man, and why was he so terrifying? Seeing Mu Qingyun's nervous appearance, the man in white seemed to be not very interested. He turned his head and looked at Long Chun. The moment his eyes left Mu Qingyun was relieved. If it weren't for her amazing willpower, she would have collapsed. Long Chun stood with his hands behind his back in front of the white-clothed man with an amazing origin, and his face was calm until the white-clothed man looked at him. Long Chun spoke first. Go on. I will quietly watch you pretend. The white-clothed man narrowed his eyes slightly. You, the descendant of the 9 stars, are very interesting. The power of the stars is chaotic, the power of the bloodline is also chaotic, and even the aura of the inner demon has not been eliminated, but you can get to this point today. It's interesting. The white-clothed man said 2 interesting words in a row, and it seemed that he had a strong interest in Long Chun. If it were before, Long Chun might be shocked that this person could see so many of his secrets. However, after absorbing the energy of the Great Tao, Long Chun's state of mind changed from flawless to returning to nature, and he didn't care about these things at all. You can see as much as you want, and it has nothing to do with me. In the past, Long Chun liked to hide his trump cards. Now thinking back, it was because he was not confident enough. He was afraid that his trump cards would be seen through, and he was also afraid that his trump cards would be used up, so only keeping the trump cards would give him a sense of security. But now it is different. After absorbing the energy of the Great Tao, Long Chun realized that all trump cards are unreliable. The most reliable one is still strong confidence. With strong confidence, there is no need for any trump cards. Any means are trump cards. Seeing that Long Chun said nothing, the man in white said coldly, "Where is the arrogance when you killed my servants? Are you dumb now? Or are you too scared to even speak?" Long Chun didn't want to waste time talking to him, but he said with a thought, "Just now I heard those idiots say that you are the son of some Dark Lord?" Before, he and Emonien destroyed the statue of the Dark Lord and blew up the spider altar. Long Guxieu even absorbed the power of the altar and his strength sword. But Long Chun didn't know anything about the Dark Lord. Long Chun wanted to try to get some information out of this person. The man in white snorted coldly, "You ignorant idiot! The name of the Dark Lord is also something that an ant like you can mention? Even a powerful lord like the 9 stars died at the hands of the Dark Lord. You, a small remnant of the 9 stars lineage, are not qualified to mention his name." Hearing this, Long Chen's heart suddenly shrank. Even with his calmness, he couldn't help but change color. Did the Lord of 9 stars die at the hands of the Lord of Darkness? Lord of 9 stars, Lord of Darkness. What does this so-called Lord mean? Why is there such a title? Long Chun originally wanted to get some valuable information from him, but this guy kept calling him a fool and an ant, which made the flames in his heart keep rising. The man in white stretched out 2 fingers and said coldly, "Give you 2 choices. 1. Surrender to me. 2. Die." Long Chun also stretched out 2 fingers and said, "I also give you 2 choices. 1. Kneel down and call me daddy. 2. I will beat you until you call me daddy." Mu Qingyun looked at Long Chun in disbelief. Facing such a terrifying existence, the third brother actually had the leisure to tease? The horror of this man was beyond her imagination, but Long Chun didn't seem to take him seriously at all. Did the third brother make a mistake? After Long Chun finished speaking, the air seemed to freeze in an instant. The 2 men faced each other and each extended 2 fingers. It seemed a little funny just looking at the scene, but the fierce murderous intent had already filled the entire altar. "Stupid guy, I saw that your cultivation was not easy, so I loved your talent and took you as a slave. That would be the lifelong honor of you lowly human race. You actually don't know how to appreciate it, so I will give you the most cruel way of death in this world." The man in white had a gloomy face, and his eyes were full of murderous intent. He was completely enraged by Long Chun. "Ignorant idiot, do you know that I, Long Chun, will stand at the top of the 9 heavens in the future? Isn't it better to be my son than to be the son of that ugly spider? Since you don't know how to appreciate it, I will beat you to pieces today. Qingyun, you step back." Long Chen's last sentence was to Mu Qingyun. "Third brother." Mu Qingyun was shocked. She had never seen such a terrifying existence in her life. She hoped to fight with Long Chen. "Qingyun, your Dao heart is still in its infancy, very immature. You have been frightened by his aura and have lost the qualification to fight him. Stand further away and watch the battle carefully to see how the third brother will deal with him." Long Chun sent a voice message to Mu Qingyun. Mu Qingyun's sword intent has just taken shape. Although it will be of great benefit to her to fight with this man, there are also huge risks. If Mu Qingyun's sword intent is broken, she may never recover from it. Seeing that Long Chun was so careful, Mu Qingyun nodded and slowly retreated. As Mu Qingyun retreated, a hint of sarcasm appeared on the corner of the white-clothed man's mouth. "You are not bad, but you are just not bad. With her assistance, you may still have a chance to struggle. Without her, I will even lose the desire to attack you." "Really?" Long Chun smiled, and suddenly a nebula appeared under his feet. With a flash, he was in front of the white-clothed man and punched him hard. The nebula step of the microscopic level? But if. The man in white seemed to be very familiar with this move. He tilted his head slightly and easily dodged Long Chen's punch. "Let you pretend." The dodged punch suddenly turned his palm and hit the proud face of the man in white with a strange and mysterious arc. A crisp sound of smack covered the entire altar. The palm was not very powerful, but it was extremely loud. The face of the man in white was slightly slapped to one side. However, this scene shocked countless strong men outside the altar. There were many strong men from the Nine Heavens world on the altar, but they did not have a good impression of Long Chun because he had launched a violent massacre and slaughtered their people. Even though they knew that Long Chun was fighting for the Nine Heavens world, if they stood on Long Chun's side, it would be difficult to explain to the tribe after returning. Therefore, they all hid in the distance, watching the tiger fight from a mountain, to see whether Long Chun was stronger or the so-called Son of Darkness was stronger. However, when they heard that the Lord of Nine Stars died in the hands of the Lord of Darkness, the strong men of the Nine Heavens world were all shocked. The Lord of Nine Stars can be said to be the strongest in the history of the Nine Heavens world, without a doubt. With the power of one person, he pulled the weak human race from the bottom of the food chain to the top of all races, and ruled all races, and no one dared to disobey. Although they hated the human race and did not want to admit that history, there was no doubt that the Lord of Nine Stars was the ceiling of the strongest combat power in the Nine Heavens and 10 Earths. The man in white actually casually said a secret, which shocked countless people. The man in white was the son of the Lord of Darkness, and he must have participated in that battle. No wonder the pressure given by the same level of the human emperor was even more terrifying than those of the god emperors. However, such a terrifying existence was slapped by Long Chun as soon as he started. The strong men of the Nine Heavens world all widened their eyes. In addition to the strong men of the Nine Heavens world, there were also many strong men from outside the domain hiding in the distance to watch the battle. Although they also came from the Chaos Realm, they were not from the Dark Clan. They came here just to take advantage of it, and they would not fight for the Dark Clan. However, when they heard the name of Tsang Lu, the Son of Darkness, they were all shocked. They only knew that a great existence of the Dark Clan was buried here, and he was reborn in Nirvana here. This place was listed as a forbidden place for the Dark Clan. Other clans would not come here easily to avoid disputes, but they did not expect that the person buried here was actually the Son of Darkness. However, just when they were shocked by the name of the Son of Darkness, Long Chun slapped them with a loud slap, which made them look stunned. The great Son of Darkness was actually slapped by the human race. The sound of the slap lingered for a long time. Long Chun stood not far from the man in white. After the strike, he stood with his hands behind his back and quietly looked at Tsang Lu, who was just high above like a god looking down on all living beings. The calmness and coldness on Tsang Lu's face gradually disappeared, replaced by a cold, murderous intent and violent pressure. Boom! Tsang Lu was filled with black air, as if billions of black dragons were roaring. Tsang Lu was angry, completely angry. As the Son of Darkness, he participated in the Chaos War, killed countless Nine Heavens strongmen, and finally fell here. The Lord of Darkness buried his body here, set up a dark formation, seized the aura of the Great Tao, and made him reborn. According to the original plan, his birth time would be delayed for a while, and after his birth, he would be able to directly advance to the Emperor. However, because Long Chun smashed the balance, it caused the luck of the battlefield in the heavenly domain to fluctuate, causing cracks in the formation, and the aura of the Great Tao leaked out, attracting countless powerful people to fight for it. Finally, under the call of his clansmen, he woke up early, but before he woke up completely, he was completely awakened by a slap from Long Chun. Ka ka ka. The killing intent was pervasive. The terrifying power of the domain was spreading. The altar was clacking, and spider web-like cracks appeared. What kind of domain is this? There is no imperial flame, but it has such a terrifying power. Someone in the distance exclaimed. This should be the legendary power of the Great Tao, which can only be controlled by the strong above the divine emperor. Tsang Lu is the Son of Darkness. When he fell on this battlefield, he was already a half-step heavenly emperor. Now he has been reborn in Nirvana. Although his cultivation has retreated to the realm of the human emperor, he can still control a trace of the power of the Great Tao. What a terrifying power! What an amazing pressure, invisible and intangible. It can kill people without a trace. For a while, the strong outside the domain exclaimed. They had all heard of Tsang Lu. Boom! The altar was shaking uneasily, and the aura of the great Tao was steaming, but no one was going to absorb the aura of the great Tao at this time. Because the aura of the great Tao, the part that everyone can absorb, is limited. If it exceeds the limit, it will automatically slip away. Forcibly collecting it is to seek death. Most of these strong people have reached their limits. The reason they stay here is to use the aura and the rhyme of the Tao here to comprehend the great Tao. However, no one noticed that in the corner of the altar, the space was constantly twisting, and the Chenkuan Ding and the Dragon Bone Evil Moon were still absorbing the aura of the great Tao. Dare to blaspheme the great Son of Darkness. I will let you know how extravagant death is. Tsang Lu gritted his teeth. His voice was bloody, and it was obvious that his anger had reached an extreme. However, he was suppressing himself. He had to control himself and not slap Long Chun to death all at once. Still pretending. Long Chun snorted coldly. The nebulous step under his feet trembled, and his figure suddenly disappeared. This time, Long Chen's speed was several times faster than the last time, and he arrived in front of Tsang Lu in the blink of an eye. Before, Long Chen used the nebulous step and deliberately slowed down his speed to paralyze the opponent, and he also deliberately slowed down his attack to give the opponent a chance to dodge easily. Therefore, that seemingly incredible slap was all within Long Chen's calculations. This time, Long Chen's speed instantly increased to the extreme. The spectators could not see Long Chen's movements at all. Long Chun had already appeared in front of Tsang Lu and punched Tsang Lu in the face. Get lost! Long Chen's speed was extremely fast, but Tsang Lu's reaction was equally fast. Black air filled his big hand. As Long Chen's fist slammed, the roar of the devil could be heard faintly. Pa! Tsang Lu slapped Long Chen's fist with one palm. He thought he could smash Long Chen's arm with one palm, but when the fists and palms touched, his face suddenly changed. Long Chen's punch looked extremely strong, but in fact it was soft and without any power. He immediately realized that something was wrong and immediately changed his palm into a claw, trying to grab Long Chen's fist. No matter what tricks Long Chen played, as long as he grabbed his fist, he would be dead. However, his hand had just touched Long Chen's fist and was about to use force, but Long Chen's other hand had already swung round and hit him hard on the other side of his face. Pa! A shocking explosion sounded, shaking the sky, and a black ripple appeared on Tsang Lu's face, spreading rapidly, and Long Chun was directly bounced away by the ripple. Wow! What a powerful face! It hurts my hand. In the void, Long Chen's strange cry came, and at that moment, the strong men who were watching secretly were stunned.